Well, hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is we've decided Louie and I now have a duo host name. It's Lucy.
Lucy,
So
which is phenomenal. We were going to be the backwards hat gang today, but Susie.
Yeah, but
very
I
disappointing.
know.
What a mini! What a mini, Susie. Last night was incredible. I know there was a lot of talk last week, and I mean, I was a part of one of them, so I shouldn't, talk it down too much. But there was a lot of talk last weekend about two of the greatest, minis of all time. In my humble opinion, IMHO last night, was better than both of them. Would you agree?
I was very sick last week.
Oh yeah, you didn't
I was in and out. I was very in and out last week. So to me, they killed them.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, anything would have been better, really. But no, I thought last night was absolutely phenomenal. The gameplay was great. Big characters all around. Big characters lasting to the end. And as I said on Twitter, I think possibly one of the best games ever played by Katie. So it was great to watch.
Yeah, I think that there are so many great cast members that we're going to get to see again and again coming from this group. I think we saw so many players that easily on another mini could have won. If they weren't up against this juggernaut of a cast, we would have seen some of these people absolutely dominate other games. So I don't know. We won last night for sure. The viewers are the real winners.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of, I guess let's start bringing them in and start getting into the game, shall we?
Wait. Let's make our little comment first.
Oh, yes. The comment.
Yes. So we do know that last night had a small controversy. And we want to say that, we are respecting the wishes of several people not to really bring that onto the show today. We did have a message from Jennifer that she wanted us to share. There we go. So you can read that for yourself. I'll read it aloud for you. I would like you to read a statement tomorrow on my behalf because I'm not going to give energy to toxic viewers and some of your hosts. My statement: grow the fuck up. Look in the mirror and see where the hate really lays. So I think that the viewers, this is Jennifer's message.
Speaks for itself, I'd say.
I think it speaks for itself. And also, she did, in one of her tweets, threaten to bring some legal action against comments. So I am not going to be speaking on that today. I think that, like you said, it speaks for itself. And this was a great game, and I want to focus a lot on the game today, and focus on the personalities. And I think that, as a community, we can continue to have these conversations, and we will do so. But today, it's about the game. And
yeah, I agree. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's something, if it comes up in one of these, minis, we have to discuss it. It's, we got to go through the rounds, and it's something that was a big deal. But that being said, I wouldn't want it to take away from, and it definitely would take away from what was a great game and what was really entertaining. So there, there's no point.
Yeah, I think that we have two separate conversations happening there, right? Like this happened, but also there's an amazing game. So today we're going to celebrate our community and we're going to celebrate our gameplay because there was some killer gameplay that went on. So go ahead, Louie. Sorry, I stopped you from bringing our amazing guests.
So let's bring them all on. Let's start with the lady of the hour, our winner, Katie. Welcome to Sequester Mini. Hello.
I'm excited.
I want to say that basically every room you came into, and this is something that I say too, is hi friends, hey pals, hey guys.
Yeah, I say that too. That's my gender neutral phrase is hello friends, because I often say hey girl, and then I was like, well, that's like rude.
Well, yeah,
everybody girl.
Yeah, hey friends and like hey y'all is just like come from being a camp director. I'm so used to working around children that's just how I speak to humans now.
See, my plan when I came in and said, hi, friends, I'd be like, oh, maybe they'll think I'm really their friend and they'll want to work with me. So it's clearly much more duplicitous. But
Katie and I come from very different, but I like that we all have different reasons for doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that Louise is manipulative.
Oh, 100%, 100%. All right. So let's move on. We have Tyler here. Hello, Tyler.
Hi, everybody.
Bradley is here with us. Hello. We have Robin. And then we also, well, I'm going to bop out.
Hey, so wait, did we lose Louie in that? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to talk to y'all about game today. Like I said, it was a killer game. I think that a lot of people could have won it, including people that I'm looking at right now. So I want to know, some of you played before, some of you have not. What was your plan going into the game?
I could start since I played before. My plan was to just be nice to everybody per usual and try to, because I know there was going to be a target on my back from the video, because I wanted to include my past times that I played in the game or last week where I didn't get to play because of whatever reason. So I wanted to include that in my video, and I knew from that point that people are going to target me. So it was just about getting the target off my back at that point. So,
yeah, I'll talk about that as well, because it's my second time playing. What's up, Andrew? My main strategy was not to F up the Sequester roulette round because I got voted out for leaving the room first. So that was my main strategy, is not to freak out and leave the room first. But when I started to see all the intros and all the returnees playing, like Vinny, Robin, Andrew, Dylan, I'm like, yes, we're playing together. But it's easier said than done with a cast of 22, because I think I barely said hi to Andrew, and Robin I seen a couple of times. But yeah, I knew I wanted to protect him for sure.
This is not the Big Brother house where y'all can just find each other. No, there are room limits. There are other people in your room. To make an alliance is so much more difficult. Even if you're like, obviously, this is what we're going to do, you find out very quickly that it's not obvious to everyone who you thought was going to be in your alliance.
Tough.
And I'll just say real quick that, I played on emo night a week ago, and I had so much fun doing it. I went out real early, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to apply over and over again until I get picked again. Had no chance that I was going to get picked this week. I'm super grateful for the opportunity. I got to play with another awesome cast, and, I'll be putting my name in their hat again.
Andrew, I was going to say, when I saw you pop up, I was surprised that you were back so quickly, but I was so happy that you were. And I feel like your game, I mean, I don't think in our game, your game was bad at all. You just really didn't get a chance to, do much because it was so early. But I think we got to see some flashes of what you were capable of last night. And I was definitely rooting for you by the end there.
Well, thanks. And I'm certainly, learning as we go here, as everyone does, and taking notes from Katie and Louie and trying to get better. So.
Yeah. So we had both returnees and new players. Katie, this is your first game, right?
Yeah. So for me, like coming into it, I've always thought of like how I would play a game like this, and I've applied to many of the things to be on them. And I've always kind of owned up to the fact that I know I'm gonna play a villainy game, but I'm gonna be able to get away with it the first time I do it, because I come off likable and sociable and friendly, and I can bop around from room to room and make my face present and make people think, hey, yeah, I think you're great, before I stab them in the back. And I knew I was only going to get one shot to play a game like that. So I kind of full force went with that.
And you killed it.
Yeah, and it worked.
It worked. The only person I had really any relationship with before the game actually was Lore. And like, we were hoping so bad to get far together. And then when she went, I was like, I have no idea where this came from. And that's when I kind of had to kick it into high gear and come up with a new plan. And that's when Vinny and Emilie and I got really close, and that worked out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
that was a good starting room.
Yeah.
Laura, go ahead. Sorry.
I saw that Katie had applied for the mini, and so I reached out to her. And I mean, I knew that like just from talking to her that we were gonna like play totally different. And I thought it was good. Like it was a good balance. I was gonna be a little more under the radar starting off, and then like around where I got out, I wanted to kind of start turning it up, but didn't get to that point.
Yeah.
But you know, it happens.
That's the hard part. You like early rounds, you're just like you got to get through, but you also feel like you don't get to showcase your game sometimes.
Yeah.
Tyler, how did you approach coming into the game?
Yeah, for me, of course, it's so difficult to go into any sort of game like this with a set strategy because it's just going to change, immediately, right? But I really did sort of want to lay low the first couple rounds, which obviously didn't happen. But I wanted to lay low and then kind of like what Laura said, probably turn it up like right before jury begins. So people would sort of maybe see me more, but I guess even in the first round, my name was already coming up, which is completely fine. I know that sometimes I can sort of come off as a strong character maybe, so that's like something I try to tread. So it works with some people, it doesn't work with some people, so that's something I still need to work on, at least game wise.
Yeah, that's hard. Like you've got to change your personality a little bit, at least for the game. You've got to be a flexible player. And I think that we saw people change their gameplay. Robin, I think people were saying, that it seemed like your gameplay was very different than last time. That you were a lot more of an active player this time. That you were Go ahead.
Mostly this time it was just there was more of a target on my back, where last time nobody was really saying my name. My name wasn't coming up, so I didn't find the need to. But this game, oh my god, I felt like every run until I, got out, it was about my name being up there. So I knew I had to fight this time and be kind of a little aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw you strategizing from round one. So let's talk a little bit about round one. So y'all had seen the videos at this point. Some of you less so than others. It seems like some people from the chat seem to have this idea that their internet was going out. My internet was going out, so that was interesting to try to watch. But how did y'all approach the first round? This is the round Travis went out on.
I always think it's crazy then when my room throws a name out and then the first room I go to also has the same name. It just like that's just not a good sign for that person. And even if your starting room has your back, there's only so much you can do when already two rooms have said Travis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel because like with our room, we discussed it and we thought like Bradley was kind of our person that we were looking at, but as we went to other rooms, it was like Travis. So I was like, oh fuck, so we gotta get Travis out, And sorry, Bradley, like I don't know everybody that played before, so if I did know you were returning, I would have for you so hard, but it was just based on your video, and I didn't want Travis to go because I thought maybe.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was interesting watching some of it back this morning because the names I was hearing popping up were like Travis and Spencer and Vinny. And I'm like, damn, this is my whole opening room. What is going on right now? So it was really interesting, like, knowing how the game progresses, how far a lot of people in our room went when they were such huge targets right away. I obviously didn't vote for Travis because he was in my opening room and I threw my vote on AJ. And then later on.
AJ as well.
Me too.
Really? Crazy. See, I kind of pushed that a bit in my room, which later on in the game, AJ was a huge asset. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm glad he didn't go. Yeah. And owning up to him about voting for him, I think played well for me because he grew that trust in me because I was like, yeah, I voted for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I wanted Travis to say I was mad at his internet. That seemed to be the biggest message that people were popping around, which was that his internet was not that great, and that's why they were going to put him out in, but you know, I was a fan of Travis, and then it seemed to be between Travis and AJ in the end. I know that we're saying Bradley got some votes, but between those two. And then we moved to round 2. And thank you, Justine, for joining us.
Hi. I just wanted to also bring up that I was pushing for Travis to stay. I felt like not many people were people were saying that he was going around, and I was hoping that my room 2 I was hoping people. I was looking back at that round, and I was just noticing how people would say that he was still that he was being brought up, and I wish they didn't. I wish they push other people more.
Justine,
because
I
felt like
the reason I didn't vote Travis. You actually changed my vote. Yeah.
I mean, besides the optics of it on Juneteenth, I really liked Travis, and I thought he could be someone who would always, be with me, and always. That's what I was trying to do throughout the game, just get people who I thought would always back me up and always never throw my name out. And the fact that Spencer so easily started pushing Travis's name is those are the people who I should have been wary of,
Yeah, I think that you did a good job rotating a lot, Justine, is what we saw from you. I will say, if you watched my commentary last night, I was like, on Juneteenth, we're gonna
that's what I was thinking. I was like, no one else thinking that.
I was like, the internet is racist against him.
Seriously,
his internet service provider. Bullshit.
And I mean, Dylan's internet wasn't that great. Yeah, I see you in the chat, Dylan. No one was calling him out.
You better read him.
I love you, Dylan.
I love his video too, and I was like, I love Andrew, but Andrew's video was also not as that amazing either. So, but Travis did us. Louie's so shady with this, with who he puts in and out. He's like, "Oh, who'd you say?" But yeah, so I thought that I was surprised Andrew didn't go around when they started talking about videos, because Andrew's your sound wasn't that strong on your video.
Totally, I agree.
Because you were in a gym, weren't you?
Yup, here we are.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it was echoey. So I was like, if we're talking videos,
yeah.
But Travis went out and he had a final shot. He got to make the pairs, and those were Daniel and Tyler, James and Dylan, and Jalen and Bradley. And all of those names, all of those people had been pretty good in the first round, except Tyler.
Yeah,
right. Tyler, your name had gone around in the first round.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know why I got in my head to start going for Tyler.
You were so adamant about it.
It was the last video, and it was just it went into my head.
That's what I also think. I mean, of course, there in any sort of game like this, there is some sort of component of luck, and I felt like my video being last, I was like, oh, there's got to be an impression for one person that's gonna be he was last. Let's do something. I was
but I didn't even write down what you said that I thought was sketchy, so it didn't make any sense. Why
I say it was your tagline at the end, because I remember you being his tagline. It just he seems like he's not going to be one that we can mold.
What was your tagline, Tyler?
My tagline was if you trust me, we'll go far, but if you lose my trust, I will basically put your stock in this game come crashing down.
I have a new theory on this in terms of videos. So we've discussed obviously that if the video is bad quality, you're a target.
Yeah.
My new theory is that if your video is of too good quality, you're also a target. If it's really crisp and clean and the sound is good, all of a sudden people get the thought of, oh, this person's a threat. Look at their video. They're so well spoken and dangerous. So that's what I've come to.
I thought mine was pretty good, and I don't think I was a target.
Phenomenal.
Yours was amazing.
I thought it was so cringy watching it back, but I knew that being a woman, I would be safe for a few rounds in the beginning. That's just how it goes. But so I wanted to be more than just safe. Like I wanted people to like me and like want to keep me around. But I'm really not. I've never been known as like this personality. I've always been shy, and like my teachers, my parents, everyone would call me shy, and I just, internalize that. But I guess there's like more
People
to
called
me.
you
I'm
shy?
saying, oh hell
Yeah.
yeah! Like everyone growing up, like I've been shy all of my life. Like
You were very,
yeah,
you were
I-
very likable, Justine, and you were not a floater.
you.
I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
I
already
didn't
told
feel
her
like I was a floater. I love you guys, but
I
I
was
can see
saying,
why I could be
Justine,
perceived as a
that
floater, but I knew what I was trying to do. Is just I wasn't pushing hard enough for the people I wanted to.
It was hard because, like, especially down there at the fore, like, me, Emilie, and Vinny were so, like, in your face of, like, this is who we're after. This is who's going home. And you were more like, hey, guys, this is what we should do. And then we'd be like,
Yeah,
yell
and-
things. Get rid of them.
Oh, I'm just looking at the comments. Okay, yeah, I have to head out.
Thank you
I'm
so much,
literally
Justine.
leaving, but thank you for all the kind words.
Oh,
And
wait, let me
I
find
love
your
this
banner.
game.
Iconic.
Seriously,
Oh,
I would have never expected this first go, and I was hard on myself. And I don't know. Maybe after hearing all this positive things, maybe I'll try again sooner than I had thought.
Yeah, we would love it, Justine. Yeah, and I hope that we see you on the podcast soon too, to maybe chat some more.
Yes.
So
I will
thank
be
you,
in
and
the
everyone
chat.
follow her Twitter too. We got your
Thank
Twitter
you.
down here.
Thank
So
you
everyone
all. Thank you, Susie. I love you. I love you.
We'll talk more. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
What's up?
Emilie!
Hi.
Emilie!
Oh man.
I almost didn't recognize you, Emilie, without the hat.
Yeah.
I was like,
I woke up and like the guy was like, "Oh, join our podcast." I was like, "Oh, okay."
The guy was like,
The guy.
No, but like I've never done a podcast before, and I was like sleeping, so I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's like a lot of attention that I didn't think was a thing. Like I knew Sequester was big, but like they're like, you should go on Twitter. I'm like, okay. So yeah.
I should be more clear in my future tweets of saying, hey, we're having a reunion on YouTube, and not expecting people just to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, it's something that happens the day after and people chat about their game. I'm sorry for being vague.
No, what's up? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. But I was just gonna say that, last night we think we had a bunch of survivors probably watching to try to get an idea of how the game was. So it was and I think y'all put on a show for them. They have a lot to live up to tonight.
I think that was like the perfect content for them to start off.
Yeah.
I will say this because Susie, since we already got into like kind of like the tether round, that even though Travis was first boot, he had a lasting effect for the next like 2, 3, 4 rounds with that tether twist. Not a fan of the tether twist round, but like Travis still had an impact on the game.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the strategy just became, okay, this person's name was like our backup last round. Let's just move them one step up. And that was, Ryan had a huge say in that. He was so good at being like, okay, cool. Next round, we're going to go for this person as our backup. So there was kind of always one step ahead. And absolutely those people that Travis first paired up together just immediately became like, all right, let's take them out.
Yeah, I knew as soon as I was tethered, I was screwed for the next couple rounds. I'm like, I'm not going to get out of this at all. But Dylan and James escaped.
Yeah, I did.
They're tethered. They did good, kind of like wheezing their way out of there. But me and Jalen, not so much.
It's so funny because I like host a game as well. So like I knew Jalen and we're actually like pretty like close. So like I was like, oh, nobody can know that. It's hard, man. Like it was so much harder than I thought it would be. Fuck, like.
Yeah, this round it was super hard for me because I I was going after Bradley, but he was tethered to my room 1 person, Jalen. So I was like, we can't go after him. And then who was was it Dylan and somebody else?
James and Dylan.
Dylan James.
Yeah, Dylan was also in my starting room, so I did not want to go after them. So I was pushing for Daniel and Tyler. That was just the reason I was pushing them. And I honestly, I didn't think they were gonna go because a lot of people were telling me Jalen and Bradley because I did vote for them, but it did go Daniel and Tyler.
I was saying all 4 of y'all's names, and I know that's not a good strategy at all, but I was freaking out.
You're just like, anybody but me.
I was scrambling at that point because once I was tethered, I just had this gut. I was like, wow, it's probably going to be me, huh? But I just felt like I didn't move around as much. I felt internally like I did, but rewatching it, I didn't.
Yeah, I felt so bad. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Emilie.
No, I felt so bad because like at one point, like we were like voting and stuff, and then Tyler popped in the room. I'm like, oh yeah, he's playing. But like you should have. I was like, sorry, but
no, don't be sorry.
Oh god, you're so funny. Like with your marriage, like, and then like your intro was so good, and I was so excited.
Oh, wait, there was no marriage.
No, well, like your engagement.
The engagement.
Like, yeah. I was engaged too, and it didn't work out. So I was like, oh, fuck, man, sorry, dude. Like,
I remember I was pushing Tyler and Dan, and then I changed my mind and started pushing Dylan and James. But then Jennifer called me out. She's like, wait, you just told me another pair. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I don't know. I ended up voting for Dylan and James because I wanted to keep Tyler and Dan around because they were my starting room. But
I voted James and Dylan, yeah. I was shocked.
I'd love to see where the votes go.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people wanted to keep Daniel as well because there was something, he was the first video, right? So that usually, we talked about luck, about being last, about how being last can be hurtful, but I think being first can be very helpful because you're like fresh, you're taking notes, you're excited, maybe you got some adrenaline. So there was it's interesting that it was the first and last video.
Oh yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
And in the end, I know we have like a Sequester stats people Twitter now. So like whoever's doing that, start following like how the videos work out because now Tyler's really got me thinking about video order.
Right.
I need to know the precise length of winners' most likely videos. I think that's important. How long is the best video?
Yeah, mine personally was almost like the max time. Like I was like 44 seconds, sort of. So I don't know if having a shorter one might be better, like short mind, and you might forget.
I also think besides my quality not being great, I also thought mine was like 30 seconds on the dot, and it was like I just like was too quick, whereas almost like too quick, too forgettable. So like if I were to do it again, I would probably make it a little longer.
So we're looking for 40 seconds, everybody.
Yeah.
Looking to play next time. We want a 40-second video. Quality is good, but not too good.
I watched the video beforehand, Susie, and you actually commented, you're like, is it smart that she's saying she's a gamer? But I forgot that I made so many clips, and I was like, yeah, just gotta like remember that like there's a difference between like playing online like wizards and shit and then being online and talking to like actual people. Like I'm not
right, like social games versus like versus those kind of games. Yeah, I still probably like honestly when you're looking for reasons to boot people eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's so hard.
I feel like I vibed with you because of that though.
Yeah.
We might do a special Podquester on just videos where we show like some of the best and the worst and winners videos and stuff like that. I think it'll be fun. And we can critique everyone's videos. I know my video was low quality, but it was very self-deprecating. I feel like it really helped me because people were like, oh my God, this girl. Because mine was like, I'm just a poet. And I like Audrey, so I wanted to play a game.
Well,
they were like, this girl.
I was sending my videos to my boyfriend who played Sequester actually like last week, and I'm like, "Do you think this is okay?" He's like, "I don't think it's smart." I'm like, "Fuck it."
My partner said that about my Winners at War video. They were like, "Your video is super aggro," and I was like, "It's Winners at War. It has to be it."
I actually sent my video. I sent my video to Bryce, who played last week, because me and him actually applied for another reality show together through a mutual friend. So I sent mine to him, and his immediate response was, "That's good. You don't seem boring. However, I would be scared shitless of you." And I was like, "All right, I guess that's where we're gonna land."
Because Katie, at the beginning, I like, okay, where's my paper? Oh my god, I have a paper of who I didn't like. I had X's beside them, and Katie, I like saw your video. I'm like, I hate her. But it just goes to show the intro videos, and when you meet people, like sometimes it doesn't matter, because like me and Katie went to the
Chris. What's up, guys?
Hi. Oh my god.
I want to admit that after Katie's video, her intro video, I was like, I had a Sequester crush immediately. I'm like, and I knew she was going to go far in the game, and I wanted to be a part of it, but the feeling was not mutual. So.
I've always said I wanted to play a poverty-like game and just cut all the men, and it worked. We had 2 girls at the end, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So I was in and out. My internet was messing up. Somebody describe Katie's video to me. I think I missed that. So
I said like, yeah, videos were like a strong impression, but I was like I hated Katie. I was like, but then I got.
But Katie's video, she was like a very like she talked about being a camp director, and she's very just good positive vibes and energy, smiling like
it's a big personality. It's a big personality, and I knew that it was people were gonna have like a she seems fun, or a fuck no, don't want to play with her dynamic. And I knew that going into the game, which is why like I wanted to bop around so quickly and meet as many people as I could, to be like, hello, this is who I am as a real human, and not in my 39th take of this video.
But like kind of worked out because you were such a big character, and I was like, I need to work with her and Vinny, because like like if I was gone, like you were gone, I was next. Like fuck, man. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
So speaking of intro videos, we now have Chris on the podcast. Thank you, Chris, for joining. And Chris, interestingly enough, as I mentioned, my internet was going in and out during the intro videos. For your video, I could not see you, but I could hear you, which would become par for the course the evening. So, and actually, you had one of the most effective videos I think I've seen in a long time, in that you quickly formed a stoner alliance with other players.
After, I was real nervous about my video. I thought it could either hit or miss, depending on the type of people I was playing with. But as soon as I entered rooms, everybody was like, Chris, I loved your video. I was like, all right, I could probably ride this for a few rounds.
Yeah, you made it really personal, and you made it really funny. That's really hard. Jokes don't always land. This is more fodder for our intro podcast one, but we have seen some really bad like humor ones. They've gone over pretty poorly in the past. So because yours worked out well, but
I think that people just want to work with people that they see themselves drinking with and smoking with, like Emilie and Chris. I'm like, they're my friends.
Yeah, I was drinking wine like the hour beforehand. I was like, and now
we have to hydrate more. I know I talked about this on Twitter, but
vegetables.
Thank you.
For sure. All right, some water.
I'm pro drinking as much wine or whiskey or White Claw during the game, but we also need to hydrate. And I think to hydrate during the game too. For every couple of cups of wine, just take a sip of water. It'll help your end game, and it'll help you in the morning. That's my PSA for today. Drink water.
Stay hydrated.
So Tyler, were you shocked at the end of this? So we're still in round 2. How did you feel when it was announced?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like, oh my God. I mean, I had like a little bit of a feeling, but it was like right at the end. I felt like when the round ended, I was like, it could be me, maybe. And then when I heard, Daniel and Tyler, and, that was it, I was definitely really disappointed, just because I didn't even get to graze the surface, of course. You know, I didn't get a time to swim in the water at all, which is completely fine. I mean, I really still had a rush of energy and adrenaline. Like, it was still really fun for that early time, and I just want to get back in and actually go in. So
I think I saw you were in, I don't know if you were in our chat or the YouTube chat, but you watched the game afterwards,
yes,
right?
Yeah, I was completely there the whole time watching, of course, which, I mean, the whole cast was amazing. So that's why I'm so glad to have been a part of it. And honestly, I'm not even like bitter that I was second out, just because there were so many strong players. I can do another one, you know, perfectly fine with this one.
I think you'll do well if you play again, Tyler. I think you'll do well. And then Dan, the drama teacher from Australia, like, as soon as he remind me of Dan from UK during my mini and the international mini. Like, if you have an accent, I'm ready to fall in my sword for you. Like, I'm like, okay, I got suckered in, but he had potential to go really far as well. And you two should definitely play again, like, real soon.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we all definitely want to see you again. I'm going to throw up your Twitter real fast. You want to tell us what we can find on your Twitter, what you tweet about?
Yeah, I actually just created my Twitter a couple days ago. My friend told me to make it, you know, before playing on this mini, because normally I'll use Insta, which is the same @. But on Twitter, you'll probably see me. I'll definitely talk about Sequester, Survivor, Big Brother, and then probably a lot of K-pop and gaming. That's what I really like.
Wait, Blackpink?
Yes, Blackpink. I saw them in concert. I can't wait for their comeback. So yeah, let's go.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much, Tyler, for being with us. Do you have any last comments on the game or on your gameplay or in large before?
I guess two is just, one is this was probably one of the best minis I've seen. I mean, I can't believe it's awesome. And then second is just look out for me in the future and don't forget about me, because once you do,
well, maybe you want them to. Yeah, maybe you want them to forget about you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tyler. We will definitely be looking for you. I know.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Oh man.
Okay, so at this point we move on to room.
Hey, Chris.
Oh yeah, Robin. I forgot that I can't remember who's been on and who hasn't already. So just in case, Robin is with us tonight. So we move to room roulette in this one. So in room roulette, there's usually, the idea that you have to get in a room with a bigger target, but it's round 3. So that's a little harder to navigate. Who's a bigger target in round 3? Do y'all want to discuss how you decided to move or not move during that round?
Well, I think everybody knows how I moved through that round. But I basically knew Jennifer was like a target before me. So once I stayed in the room that I stood in, she came in and I was like, yeah, stay here. And she did. And of course, I wasn't expecting our room to be nominated, to which I was like, oh, really? Everything is just coming up bad for me in this game. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? At least she's in here with me, and I know she would go out before me. So
I knew I started the round off in a room with Chris and Andrew, and I didn't want to go against them. But then I hopped in a room with Katie, Emilie, and another female.
Jules, I think.
And I was like, fuck. But I didn't want to be so sketchy and like pop out. But then Nathan joined. I'm like, okay.
Was that the time when me and Kate and the who else was it? Jules were all talking like, "Oh, girls," and then Bradley walked in and went.
That was so sketch. I'm like, did I miss something? And you're like, nobody would talk to me. I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling good vibes at all.
Yeah, we just immediately were like, Jalen said he wanted to leave because he didn't want any of us to go. So that's what we were talking about. But at that situation, I was like, this is ideal because if our room gets nominated, we have 3 girls in here. Yeah. Bradley, you're a goner if this happens. So when we didn't get nominated, that was nice, but I felt pretty safe even if we got nominated that round.
We walked in like a second after, like we said, like a girls' alliance, and we're just like, what did he hear? Like,
I didn't hear anything, but as soon as I popped in, y'all start laughing. I'm like,
oh, yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, people, you need to practice your game faces if you're gonna play Sequester. Queen, queen. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Jules, I don't know if you've watched back any of the commentary, but
I did. Y'all were way too kind to me.
I mean, where is
we
the link for this?
For this game,
This-
yeah, Jules, I don't know if you've watched back any of the commentary, but
I did. Y'all were way too kind to me.
Oh, jeez.
Where is the link for this?
Somebody's echoing really bad. For this game, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Jules. So I was like, "What is happening?" We'll put the link in the private chat for the
Awesome.
for this. But yeah, so we there we go.
Is it
Thank
better?
you, Jules. No, it's not better.
It's not me. My headset's brand new.
Okay, I think we're good, Jules. Okay. Let me go. And here we go. Okay. So yeah, so we are in room roulette still. Emilie, how did you decide what room you were gonna be in?
Honestly, like I said in like my final speech, I'm like divert. And at that point, like so many people were going against each other. I just wanted to be like in a room with like at least someone who was a bigger threat. But like at that point, I wish I had a more insightful answer, but I didn't care. Like honestly, like that's what I thought. Yeah. So sorry for my bland answer, but I didn't care. Like
Did you think you were safe, like regardless of what room you were in?
no, I mean I feel like if I was in a room with people who haven't had their name mentioned at all, it could have been like a factor. But I think at that point there was so much going on that like I was just in the right place that it didn't matter. So I just wanted to make sure that I was like in somewhere decent, as long as it wasn't with all people who were like under the radar. So yeah. Sorry.
Chris, how did you decide where you were going to be?
Yeah, so I was in a room, and then they left me with just another person. So I was like, I honestly didn't care that much. I just didn't want to be in a room like with me and another person. I wanted to be more. I think I was in a room with 3 people, and then we almost got like the wheel almost landed on us, but I did have an LOS, so I knew I was safe regardless. After that, once I was safe, my point was, I was just trying to like find Katie, Justine. And I wanted to solidify a final 2 with them since we were all safe. I didn't care who went that round. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were, so it was a lot more about being safe than worrying about and finding somebody in front of you in this round.
Yeah, this round I was really trying to end up in a room by myself with Katie. It never happened. So yeah, that was pretty much like with that round.
Yeah, once I did not leave my room. I'm like, there's like 3 of us in here. I am camping out. I am not moving.
Yeah.
I am not risking being somewhere by myself. And then it ended up having like 5 people in because someone jumped in right at the, like as they called time. So I'm like, cool, we have a lot of people, majority girls in this room. So we should be good.
What about you, Andrew? How did you figure this out?
Well, a week ago, it was the end of me, so I had like a week to game plan how I was going to do this. It still doesn't work out the way you draw it up in your head all the time.
Yeah.
But at least once we land on what room I'm in and I see who I'm in there with, which I believe it was Laura,
Yep.
James, and Luke, I think was my room. So right off the bat, I was like, all right, well, if it lands on us, I'm not going to target Laura because I know females don't really gain that much traction early in the game. James was in my starting room, so I was already getting ready to just start hitting up Luke and going to get him out if it landed on us. And I was just super happy that it wasn't us. So
Yeah, the round started with just Luke and I in a room, and we were like, well, I mean, at this point, most of the rooms are probably like full, so we're not going to risk it, you know? And I think, Andrew, you were like the last to join our room.
yeah, because every room I went into, it was like, I don't want to fight again. I don't want to push against them. I had some good connections with a decent amount of people. So I was like, the last thing I want to do is like have to push a name that I had a good connection with. And so I ended up in a room last second with just, well, it is what it is. Here we are.
Yeah, I think it's so hard. That's what's so hard about it being so early. Like, she gets us because there's so many people you still want to work with in the game, and there are also so fewer big threats at that point. So trying to find the exact right room is very difficult.
Yeah.
But the roulette went, and it was a pretty quick round. Jennifer went at the end of it. And do we have any other thoughts on that round before? Laura, I didn't get to ask you how you made your decision about where you stayed.
Yeah, it was just Luke and I in a room, and we were like, well, all the other rooms are probably full, so we're not going to risk, leaving. And so we just stayed put, and we had 2 other people join us. So
now, for a minute, yeah, it was you and Luke for a long time.
No, it was.
Okay. Because we were in the commentary, we were calling it like a date. We were
yeah, and I also went to a room that was 5 strong that weren't going to budge, and I wasn't going, so that happens too. Is 5 just find their spot and they're not moving. So
I didn't want to run out of time.
Yeah, it's scary. That is the scary part where you're just out of it and you're afraid you're going to end up alone and get wheeled out. Oh my God. The biggest fear. So Jennifer goes on this round, and I didn't really hear anybody else's name during that round. Did y'all hear other people's names going around? Who all was up for nomination?
It was Jalen, Jennifer, Ryan, and Robin.
Ryan. Yeah. And so
I heard Jalen and Jennifer. I know Robin was pitching kind of this or that. She didn't even really care that much. She just wanted to be one or the other. And so I was just listening to Robin, trying to just let Robin know that, I'll do what you want because I want to work with you. So that's how I played that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Robin was you were doing a very not me game at that point, right, Robin?
Yeah.
Because the target wasn't that big on your back for some reason. You were playing strategically, so for us watching, we thought that you were in trouble, but nobody was really saying your name, and you somehow controlled that vote by just being like, not me, these are the 2 options that people are saying.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing. I was like, well, maybe I'll have a target because I was a returnee and people may see me as a threat to go very far in this game. So I was like, okay, either of these 2, I don't care as long as it's me. Jennifer or Jalen, do not care.
Yeah, you were just like, not me, that's cool. These are whatever next. And I think you did a good job of staying under the radar. Oh yeah, Bradley did. That was an interesting moment. Here, I'm gonna cycle Andrew out for just a second because Bradley. That was an interesting moment when Bradley told Jennifer that you were coming for her, Robin, and then you popped in, and Jennifer was like, "Are you coming for me?" And you were like, "No, I would never." And whoever said that is trying to divide us. And Bradley's like, "I said it."
I was like, whoever said that is trying to divide us because they seen our mini.
I wanted to pop out so quick, but I knew Jennifer was like, well, Brad's the one who told me, but so I stayed in there, but it was super awkward. I'm like, don't say my name.
Yeah, I think that was a really good move, Bradley, because obviously the moment you left, obviously if I were Jennifer, the moment you left, I would have been like, it was Bradley. Now, also, I probably would have been like, but it was Bradley. What do you think? I'm messy as a player.
Like, Robin, tell Jennifer your name out. But I was like, my first mini told me to lay low the first couple rounds, which is probably I should.
Was that your version of laying low?
No, I can't. I can't lay low. I like to have fun.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was fun for us too. We were all like.
I loved it.
Because I think even though I had an issue with Jennifer being in the game, I I was trying to like not push for her to go so early. That's why I was like jailing her because she was, in all, she was a bigger target than me. And if you weren't pushing for me and her to go against each other, we could have all like returned each work together. But
I know.
I digress about that.
Yeah. In hindsight, I wish that would have happened.
Yes, I mean, if we could all play again, right? But hopefully, y'all.
Can I say that someone said everyone was scared of Robin? I was scared of every female in this game. Like, seriously, I was like, they terrify me. Like, I wanted to work.
We had our claws.
With them, but it just didn't happen. But I was scared of all y'all.
Yeah, no, we had a fantastic cast. But the women we didn't have one woman that was floating. Everybody had claws out. It was beautiful to see. Yeah, so at the end of this round, Jennifer goes, and unknowingly Bradley and Robin have become pitted against each other via this round.
Yeah.
So we were watching as viewers, we were like, we're gonna watch this interaction because this is gonna come to a head at some point. And it does shortly after. But the next round is red and green. Who picked red and who picked green?
Red.
I hit red.
Green.
Bradley, why'd you pick green?
It's really unpredictable. I feel like now you can't. I feel like usually if you picked green, you're in a good spot. But I feel like Audrey's been throwing some curveballs out. So it's like 50-50. Like I was just like, I really no strategy behind it at all. I was feeling like maybe I'd be safe that round. If I hit green, but really who knows? But I just wanted a round of safety where nobody could say my name because I was like crawling like since round one. I was like, please let this be a safety round if I hit green, but not the case.
You thought everyone was gonna hit green?
No, because there's sometimes like if you hit green, you're safe. If you hit red, you're not safe. So I was hoping that's the way it would go, or vice versa.
That was my thinking also.
Yeah.
There's been some games where Audrey puts in like, oh, if you choose green, you get safety for the round, and then everybody with the red, they're like up. So I thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah, she kills our pre-gaming so hard.
I clicked red because I thought that was what the majority of people were gonna do. So even if it was like a twist that threw us all up on the block, I figured I could weasel my way out of that because I thought the majority of the people were gonna end up pressing that red button, at least for the first red-green twist, just because we're all Sequester fans, and the big thing is like you always hit red. So I thought most people would do that, and I wanted to be in the majority.
I remember there was a mini where green was safe, and there was something that she said before, and she said, this might work out for you or something like that. And so I was wondering if that was something that she did every time or just the one that I happened to watch. And so that was my line of thinking. I was like, I didn't hear anything that might indicate that green would be safe, so I'm just going to go red.
So trying to dissect Audrey's language, I'm gonna be honest, that has never worked for me. Girls cryptic still.
Yeah.
In the RHAP mini the night before, didn't she have I didn't watch it, but I heard something, there was something with the buttons I thought that she did differently. No.
I don't know. I didn't watch that one either. We were doing the Big Brother Australia update. But I am interested. She's been trying out a lot of minis on the private, or a lot of new twists on the private ones. So that's also you got to watch everything. It's impossible to keep up. Chris, what did you press?
I pressed red. Every time I watch a mini, people who don't press red end up nominated. I was not gonna risk it, so red. I press red every time.
It's so funny that red's become a safety color.
I actually wanted to just try to figure out the people that I was currently working with, what would they do? And I wanted to be doing the same thing as them and be on the opposing side. So my targets would have if it was you can only vote for people that voted red, they wouldn't be people that I would be okay. They'd be people I'd be okay getting rid of. And that was my thought. I went green.
I agree. When I did Winners at War, when I was pre-gaming with people, instead of all of us pressing one color, I wanted to press the opposite color in case so that we could, so we weren't all together and we could fight for each other. That's like the closest you can do to pre-game it, but because in the end, nobody knows what Audrey is going to do. One day it's going to be like one day everybody's going to press green, and that's the day I'm most excited for. I want to see what happens when everybody presses green, but I don't know if we'll ever have it happen.
The game ends. That's the key to ending the game early. Everybody just goes home. We've all picked green. It's the end of Sequester.
As we know it, not just that game, but all of Sequester. It explodes. So obviously we had 12 people hit the button, and that left 12 people picked red. Everyone is stuck in the room. Luke is by himself this whole round. I didn't watch his room, but I heard he and Billy the mod had great conversations. So this is a round where you really really didn't know what anybody else was doing. So how did y'all navigate this round then?
I think this was another round where that strategy came into effect, where it was just like, all right, whoever's name was out there as a possibility last round, throw it on them and hope for the best. I was in a room of 5, so we knew that if all 5 of us threw it on Jalen, we should be safe, and none of us really felt our names coming up and figured even if Jalen had an LOS, we could probably sneak by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the same thought with our group. Mm-hmm. Just from hearing his name, I didn't want Jalen to go because he was in my first room, but he was the most name that I've heard throughout the rounds.
So, Katie, you and Robin were in 2 different rooms, and Jalen came up in both rooms?
Yeah.
Yep.
For that very reason, because it was down to him or the other. It was down to him or Jennifer in the last round. So that meant. And I think I watched Jalen's room. Were any of you in Jalen's room?
I was. It was one of my favorite parts about that round is Emilie looking at Jalen was like, "Yeah, Jalen, you're fucked. I'm sorry."
I remember that.
Yeah, queen.
Yeah,
like it didn't use the blow at all. We're like, I think we threw our votes on AJ and wish for the best, which was dumb on me because really I should have just voted Jalen, but.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it didn't hurt you to vote AJ.
Just not the twist.
But afterwards, I was like, we cannot say anything that we threw his name out, dude. Like,
now, who came in the room while you were saying that? Somebody jumped in the room while you were like, we cannot say anything to anyone else.
Yeah.
And I was, and everyone was, and somebody jumped in and they were like, what? And you were like, hey!
Oh, fuck. I don't know if I can swear on this. I'm so sorry.
That was a Suzi screw up. I didn't mean to just post that comment about how great I am. So, for the Suzi screw ups, we have a banner for you. That's a drink. That's a drink moment. I can't find the banner. We have too many guests. So Suzi screw up drink.
Hydrate.
Water.
Thank you. But yeah, that was a beautiful moment for the next round. So I think in this round, how did y'all decide on AJ in your room instead of?
It was just a name that got thrown out previously, and so we all and really me, Jalen, and Dylan from the Tether round, we were super nervous that these rooms of 5 that were out there were only rooms of 4. We're probably going to pick one of our names. So we all just kind of collectively decided, let's just go AJ and hope for the best. But Emilie reminded Jalen that he's probably fucked regardless.
Yeah, and it was just like, at the same time, it was like, shit, this sucks because like I was really good with Jalen because of our prior relationship. But I was like, this is so good for us. Like, oh, thank God. It was good.
Bradley was the other name that came up in our room as a possibility of like, oh, should we throw votes on Bradley just because, just in case there's an LOS, but we're like, no, we're probably fine. but let's set it up for next round that Bradley can go. So by being in that room of 5, the 5 of us were able to come to a consensus that, like, okay, we'll take out Jalen now, and then Bradley, you're next.
I felt it too. I felt something was happening.
You sent it.
Yep.
You could feel in the air. You were like, someone said my name. Someone.
Yeah, so
and it was real quick.
And it was Robin, me, and Nathan in a room of 3. So we were just, what can we do here? We kind of settled on Jalen just because it was thrown out, and then spent the rest of the round just trying to solidify our bond a little bit and hope, we can move forward together. But
yeah,
I think that's what's great about this round, and it sucked for Luke, who was by himself this whole round. But for those who weren't, this was actually even more of a solidifying place than even, I would say, the starting round, because y'all got an entire round to talk to each other, right? Where you could speak freely without worrying about people popping in and out, and where you could actually, instead of just staring at each other's faces, have a conversation. So this is a great round for further strategy if you're not already in trouble. Yeah. But I do want to say that I saw more in this cast of future planning than I ever have. Y'all were planning 1, 2, 3. You were like, so in final 3, when I cut you, y'all were planning so far ahead. Robin, I said that in the first round, I saw you playing so hard, and I was worried. I was like, that's going to make her a target. But one of the reasons you got away from it with it for a while is because other people were doing it too. Every single one of those rooms started planning the next round.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Does anyone have any last things to say about the? Sorry, the comments are getting incendiary in the YouTube chat. But refocusing. So does anyone have anything last to say about this round?
Always red.
Yeah.
Always red.
Always.
Red forever.
Well, like, you're going to play in like a game with this, like, it was so diverse. It was just like, if you thought it was going to be green, you were on like something. Like,
yeah, even though I picked green, I knew that a lot of people were going to pick red anyway. So,
yeah.
Oh, I did want to mention Ryan's talking about future rounds when you're in rooms. His gameplay, I don't know if anyone picked up on it, but he would say like, hey, if I say number 1 through 22, just look at the cast list and that's who I'm talking about. Or, hey, if I mention animal's name that starts with an R, that means I want to go vote Robin. So he was doing stuff like that too, which is interesting. I haven't seen that before, but it's a strategy.
See, but what's tricky with that is when he was sharing that code with so many people, it kind of started to lose. Like, I mean, I never got to know the code, so I didn't fucking know what was going on. But me and him were having, yeah, so it was interesting because, he kept throwing the codes out to different people, and at that point, it was like a lot of different codes. It's like, this person knows the animal code, this person knows the number code, and I know, like, for me, I could not keep up with all of that, so that's crazy that he was able to do that.
Yeah, I've seen people try to do stuff like that in the past. I can't remember if it was Tristan or if it was just in Tristan's mini. Somebody was like, let's go for like backwards, forwards in elimination, and people have tried the alphabet codes. So for like, if somebody tried to code that with me, I'd be like, that sounds like math. I'm not going to be able to keep up with that, but I do have your back. So for those who it did work with, I think that was really interesting, but I do think it was a difficult code, and to try to do that with a lot of people, you're not going to hit with everybody, right? Yes. I mean, thank you, chat. I agree. I don't do math. Well, I am a poet. That is why I have a degree in poetry. Do you know how much math I have taken? So yeah, so that round ends and we lose Jalen, and I am sad because Jalen was a good character, but we had a ton of good characters. And the next round gets kind of more of a straight vote, but then we have this secondary situation where the votes are nominated for the next round, and this was a twist that we haven't seen a lot of. Can y'all talk a little bit about how you navigated this twist?
I thought this twist was going to be my saving grace because I felt my time was coming this round. So I'm like, I was really hoping that people would get excited and start throwing their votes. I really didn't have too much of a strategy because literally as soon as the game or the round started, I think it was Justine who told me that Robin was throwing my name out. And so I'm like, and then I think I remember saying like, I would love to go after Robin, but no one's going to touch her. Just because I think people were just like scared of Robin, or they wanted to just get her far in the game because she's a big personality. But that's when I tried to throw Robin's name out. I didn't think it would stick at all.
You shouldn't have, because people were saying that you were throwing my name out. So you were throwing it out, but people were coming back to me and be like, Bradley's saying your name. And that's why I was like rushing, because I didn't want to get voted out. I was like,
people were saying that about you, and they were saying it about me. Like it was like everyone was just like, yeah, let's just let them go after each other and see what happens. But yeah, it sucked. I thought we would work so well together, but it's just like that was my first mini. Me and Lavina, I wanted to play with Lavina so bad, but we ended up having to go against each other on the round that I went home as well.
Lavina forever.
I say in my room, we also like our plan was like, all right, Bradley's time, let's go for it. And our game plan was we had 4 in the room at that point, and our game plan was okay, 2 of us are gonna put it on Bradley. And then this is where my campaign for Andrew started. And 2 of us were one person was gonna put it on Andrew, and then one person was gonna put it on someone else. So I started going out and telling everyone, Bradley's going, we're kicking out Bradley this round, everyone vote Bradley. But then I threw my vote on Andrew because I'm like, I want him to be nominated so I can make that move next round. Because like I said, my plan was get out all the boys. So that's like where my Andrew campaign started, and I felt confident that Bradley was going to go because everyone was saying his name at that point, and I knew, okay, I don't need to throw my vote on Bradley. I can start nominating some people for next round.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end for me. And in retrospect now, I felt pretty safe in that round. It probably would have been wise for me to throw a hinky vote on somebody else, anybody but Bradley, or the other name going around I heard was Luke, because I don't care if it's Bradley or Luke. So another target up in the next round would have been beneficial to me. But for whatever.
Luke was my vote, and I know some people assume that I threw Robin, or I voted for Robin just so because I'm petty, but I didn't. I voted for Luke because I was very surprised at how many people were coming up to me and saying, hey, if you vote for Luke, that's your saving grace. You have to vote Luke because your name's going around. Because the first time I played, nobody tipped me off that my name was going around. But this time around, people at least gave me a chance to kind of scramble. And I was scrambling hard. But
I was so annoyed. I think at that point I was like the only person. I'm like, why are we voting Bradley? I don't want to do that.
I remember, yeah. I think that people thought that you voted for Robin in part, Bradley, because you that would mean she was nominated the next round.
Yeah.
So we thought maybe you had the same thought process as Katie, which is this is a good chance to get somebody I want out next round nominated.
The difference between me and Katie, though, is Katie could think long-term because she was untouchable in the game, but I didn't have the opportunity to think long-term. I was playing round by round.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking long-term from the very first game. I was like, I remember at one point being in a room with Jules, and I was like, all right, if we get to the highest even number round, the 4 of us need to vote together. And Jules was like, this is way too early. Y'all need to calm down. And I was just like, my mind was always like, okay, what's the next move for me? Like, I didn't want to focus on what's happening right now. I wanted to make a longer-term plan.
Yeah. So Bradley did go this round, but he voted Luke. Katie voted Andrew. Did anyone else vote for not Bradley?
Yeah, I did. Surprisingly, I did not vote for Bradley to go out this round, just because I knew the next round I was a big target in this game, and I wasn't sure where the votes were gonna go. So I knew Bradley was already set in stone to kind of go this round. So I was like, I'm not voting for him. People are already gonna do that for me. So I tried to throw the unfortunately other person's name that I was hearing mostly, which was Andrew. And even though he's really nice, he wanted to work together, I was like, it's either him or me in the game, and I voted for him so he could be up for the next round.
Interesting.
So
Andrew got a lot of votes that round.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Andrew, you were close to going.
But luckily, what happened here, though, and I think it's why it lasted another round or two, is I kind of was like, look, Bradley or Luke's all I'm hearing to my face, so whichever one goes, we'll just do the other in the next round. And I think I did have enough support on that, even though I was up for elimination, I was able to survive another round because I had some, people on board to do Luke or Bradley in either order.
So who'd you end up doing that round, Andrew?
I voted for you, Bradley. Yeah.
Damn you!
So in retrospect, I should have voted for anybody but the people that were being targeted for majority. But
I don't know.
But
if you might have gone then.
You could have
that's
gone.
true. Yeah.
So,
yeah, if you hadn't voted for Bradley, it might have been you. So
I want to see the votes for that round because I feel like a lot of people put votes on Luke as well.
Ryan has a question.
I forgot, honestly, at that point, Ryan, I forgot who I was supposed to vote for. And I know that I wanted Andrew out. And I'm like, I don't remember if Ryan's voting for Andrew if I am, so I'm just going to vote for him.
She was just gung-ho against me.
There was enough nominated.
It was never going to be.
Who voted? Damn. So who voted for Robin? Why was she nominated?
Vinny said, I was looking at the chat, Vinny said he voted for me.
Oh,
so
okay.
Not surprised there.
All right, so that brought us to the end, and we lost Bradley. But before you leave, I have to ask, how is that electric wine opener working for you?
Oh, it's great. I used it last night to open my wine. It was Louie suggested, and it was already in the back of my mind that I needed one, and then you saying it, I'm like, done. I ordered it on Amazon right then and there, but it works great. Thanks for the recommendation.
I'm glad I can give some sort of life tip. How was the second experience? I know all of us watching on the live stream are rooting for you. How was this time as compared to the last?
I feel like that I was more comfortable this time. Like I was able to go asleep a lot easier. The first time I was like, oh my gosh. But the second time I just wanted to have fun. But as soon as I got tethered the second round, I'm like, this is not going to be an easy game this time around. So maybe there'll be a third time. We'll see, but not for a while. I just need to just go probably into hiding for a little bit. And hopefully
let them forget who you are.
Yeah, and I've just been very unlucky in this game so far, but fingers crossed that I think I'm just going to be a viewer for a while. But the second time around was a lot of fun, and I got to play with a great cast, so no regrets at all.
Third time's the charm. Thanks for coming on.
I'll see y'all.
Talk to you
Bradley.
soon. All right, so that brought us into round 6, and as we talked about, it left us with 4 nominees: AJ, Andrew, Luke, and Robin. And tough round that resulted in, shocking to me, and I think shocking to a lot of people, resulted in Robin's elimination. So let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, it was because of the LOS played by Luke, but what were we all thinking in this round, and how did we get to this result?
Yeah. Well, clearly I was going after Luke because I knew Andrew and I, regardless of how I voted the last round, I knew Andrew at least was willing to work with me, and just everybody was saying Luke, 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 and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go with the majority on this one.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. I was reminding everyone, we just talked about, all right, Bradley went, Luke is next. We're still on board with that. Like, why change what we're going to do now? Like, we thought ahead for a reason. And so I just kept pushing Luke. Even when I saw him in a room, I said, this is what I'm doing, So.
Yeah, I didn't hear Robin's name once. I just kept hearing Luke, 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 every room I went to. And that's what I ended up voting for, unfortunately.
Do you know how many votes it was that sent Robin home? Does anyone know how many votes it was?
I don't know. I think that I haven't seen a voting chart yet. So I haven't seen anyone fess up to voting for Robin.
Only
So
Vinny
that
said
would-
he voted for me the last round.
Okay. Okay, he voted for you the last round, but we don't
I
know
don't
if he
know
voted
who
for you
voted
for
this round.
this round. Yeah. But this really
I know
was
Luke did for sure.
that's true. It could have been a one vote. We've seen it before.
Well, it wasn't
but I
because
would be
I voted for
surprised.
Andrew, like I usually do, and so it was at
too?
least two. And this was the round. Oh, Spencer just said he voted for you, Robin.
Wow.
This was the round that Jules, you made me nervous because I came into a room and I was like, I want to get out Andrew, and you're like, you are the only one saying that. In my head, I was like, okay, I need to be aware of her. Clearly, this isn't going to work out. So like that was the first moment in my head that pegged me as like, okay, Jules makes me nervous.
To be honest, I think I had heard Andrew a couple of times, but because he was in my starting room and I felt better about him than I did about anyone else, I was just like, I'm down to keep him here just a little bit longer, even if the trend has been to vote out the people whose names have come out before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I felt super good about you, Robin, and I didn't want you out. I voted for Luke this round. Yeah. So.
Chris and Robin, were y'all in a starting room together?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. I was
That's
never.
why.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you two as a duo that most people weren't clocking.
Yeah, I was never coming out.
In my mind, we were working together.
Yeah,
I have a star next to your name that I really wanted to go far with you.
So sometimes those understood alliances are real. That's what's hard. Like you go in and sometimes you're like, oh, this alliance is understood. We don't even have to talk about it. And then and people are like, kill them, get them out now. But sometimes they're real. So heartwarming to see a real alliance there. So we know it was Vinny, Luke, AJ, and Spencer voted Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Katie voted Andrew. Rogue vote there. Ryan, I'm not sure if he's saying he voted Andrew or if he's saying in the future y'all work better together.
Yeah, we worked the next couple rounds pretty consistently together with like what the game plan was.
Yeah, but Luke, Jules, your sound is fine right now. Thank you. But Luke had an LOS unexpectedly. Those LOSs were
I knew
going
I was gone then.
so fast. Those LOSs were so fast. Did
Crazy.
anybody here get one? Chris, you got one, right?
I got the first LOS.
Katie, you got one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinny had one.
Vinny did have one. So Ryan did vote Andrew too.
Nice.
Hey.
Hey, Vinny.
Speak of the
did you get a
devil.
haircut?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Bravo.
No, I was wearing a hat yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
I was
yep.
like, just a new Vinny.
Hello, gang. What's up, pals? Good to see you.
You can't say pals. You nominated one of these people and then
I
voted
did
them out.
nominate Robin, and it could have been more out of a sign of respect. Could not have been more of a sign of respect.
Yeah.
No, this were all sharks. This was a game of sharks. You had to.
Hey, when you know there's a badass player and you haven't talked one word with them, it's not because they're not talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. If they're not talking to you, they're talking to somebody.
And this year I was talking to everyone else.
Yeah, because we weren't really in a room together to really
Never.
have a conversation. And the only time I really looked for you is when people were like, "Oh, Vinny's saying your name," just like with Bradley. I was like, gonna confront you about it, but every time I always go to confront somebody, it's like the time is over, so I don't really get to really explain it. Because I wanted to confront you about it, and hopefully we could have moved forward in the game, but I didn't get a chance to say
Well,
that.
it's so interesting because right when you came in, the round ended, and so that whole round is okay. Time to pitch to Robin, because the only time I've been like trying to do a silent movement, and the only time I really was fighting, I was in a fight for you was when Luke came in. I'm like, dude, your name's up. And he goes, should I go Robin or Andrew? I said, Robin's to be an easier person to pitch, but whatever you think. And that was the only thing I said. And obviously that was subtly trying to pitch you. But yeah, I agree. Like I think we could have probably worked something together. The issue is
you were playing really good, you know,
I
from what
appreciate
I
it,
was
Robin.
seeing.
And I was bummed. I tried to reach out to you right before the game from the Greg connection, but
I know, but I
work.
shut that down because I didn't want any
That's smart.
pre-gaming.
Hey, it
That's not
happens.
my thing. Like
No,
I want to come into the game fresh and just
love it.
because there were like I think 4 people. I think Lore I knew was coming in, but I didn't say anything to her. I knew I didn't know who you were, but Greg told me that he had a friend. Mike told me from my thing that somebody from his friend was going to be in it. A lot of people were telling me who was going to be in the game, and I just didn't want to hear it. I was just like, no, I don't want to know. I just know Lore was going to be in there.
You were so good with me, Robin.
In that group chat, but yeah.
That's smart. Hey,
that's not my thing. Like I want to come into the game fresh and just
love it.
Because there were like I think 4 people. I think Lore I knew was coming in, but I didn't say anything.
I think your thing is missing out.
Mike told me that somebody
for sure
his friend was gonna be.
Okay, I was like, this isn't just me, right?
In the game, I just no, I hear
for sure.
I don't know. I just know Lore was gonna be in there.
You were so good with me, Robin.
In that group chat, but yeah.
Smart. Hey,
that's not my thing. Like I want.
Wait, so was it not Jules? Okay, there we go. We had to like relive that conversation for a moment. It was so weird. Like, okay. Yes, the echo chamber has begun. We'll make that a drinking game too. Every time Jules's sound messes up, I'll start drink. But yeah, so this is the round. So Robin, how did you navigate this round knowing that you were a big target?
Honestly, yeah, I was just trying to get Luke or whoever else out besides myself, and everybody that I went to, they were like, we're voting out Luke. So I felt safe, and I should have like thought about like, okay, look for an LOS, because that would have been my saving grace just to have that in my back pocket. But at that moment I was just like focusing on like getting the target off my back, which worked because nobody voted for me, but the LOS screwed me there.
Really unlucky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Vinny. I'm not trying to blow you up, but it does make me laugh. You're like, oh, what a shame, what a shame.
No, it was unlucky. It was unlucky. I mean, it was very fortunate.
That was you.
It was unlucky though. Like, I mean,
no, I know it's actually sincere, and I think that's why it's so funny.
Yeah,
because you're like sincerely, you're like, in another world, in another time, we could have been. But so. Robin, so unfortunately, so when you heard that LOS, you knew you were
dead. Yeah, I knew it because I feel like, well, I knew Andrew was a returnee, but he wasn't really that long in his game last week. So I feel like people weren't going to target him as much because I made it so far in my first mini. I knew I was gone. You could see the reaction in my face. I was like, I'm done. I don't have an LOS. And it is what it is. I was gonna go out gracefully, and then I don't know where Luke wanted to flip me off for no reason, and I was like, okay, that came out of nowhere. I was just like, okay, bye, fuck you too.
Yeah, I think you.
Which we did. Yeah, which we did talk about it afterwards. And we're okay.
Y'all squashed it. Y'all squashed it.
Yeah, because that's the person I am. I don't want that kind of drama. So I heard he was saying things about me in the game privately by himself, and it is what it is. We squashed that, and he's.
Also, one of the worst things about this game that like it takes a lot to get in the mindset. So I was in that room with middle fingers flying around. And like I see Luke do that, I'm like, dude, not cool. But the second he doesn't, I realize he's in the game. I have to hype it up, like, dude, let's go! Like that was sick. And I'm just like, that sucks. Like those those little interactions that are so big just suck to do, but pretty necessary.
But it'll take you far. Yeah.
It's that what we talked about, being flexible, right? As in your personality, sometimes you have to hide your. Like if you're an aggressive player, usually sometimes you have to hide that. If you are somebody who calls people out, sometimes you have to hide that. It's a social game, and sometimes that means like doing things that
for sure
you don't want, including being like, I'm so glad you're here, when you're like, fuck, I voted you out.
And in the end, remembering it's a game. right?
Yeah.
So in
And
the end,
in the end,
remembering the
yeah.
game, and everyone's here to play hard and go hard, and it's like once it's over,
But when your adrenaline's going, it can
Yeah.
be very easy. I mean, I did it at Winners of War where I was like, fuck you. And then I was like, I'm just kidding. But like, it can be very harmful and hurtful. So it's hard. It's easy, but it's easy in the adrenaline to also just like do or say something that you regret. So I'm glad that y'all squashed that for sure. Does anybody else have any insight into this round?
Well, so I happen to not be in a room where a lot of drama between Robin and Luke was flowing. So, and I did hear my name start to get some traction. So when the LOS is played, you see my face, it drops because I actually thought I was going home here.
I thought you were going too.
Yeah, so I think it just comes down to like.
I know it was between
Katie in the background is saying that she thought you were. Of course, Katie did.
Right.
She tried to vote for you like 80 times.
At that point, I'm like, I've made it clear that I am after Andrew. If I go after anyone else right now, that's just a
that's the
BS
good thing
move.
on your part, just being consistent with who you want to get out.
I voted for you like 4 rounds, Andrew, and like when
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
know.
vote, I still said, take out Andrew.
And
We
you know
have
what?
Spencer who wants to join. He also has insight, so I'm going to remove myself from the screen. Everyone, welcome Spencer, and let's hear his insight.
Hey guys, final 6 right here. Final 6 right here.
Final six, right here. This
Yes.
team, I feel good about it.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
What's up, Spencer?
So I was just going to say for this
I'm
round,
surprised you voted for me.
So the reason why is I was in a room with Luke when he found the LOS that round. So he goes, oh my God, LOS, if I get it, I'm playing it this round. And I forget who was in that room with me. It might have been AJ, honestly. So I was like, okay, well, Luke's playing the LOS. Which of the other 2 do I want out more? I have been working closely with AJ, and I knew that Andrew's name had been floating around like for a very long time. So I was like, he's going to be somebody who's much easier to get out in the future. Shout out to Katie. And I was like, I don't think that Robin is going to be somebody who will be easy to get out in the future. Like, I think this would be much harder.
And you're right.
This seems like a shot to take on the like opportunity that Luke gets an LOS and he uses it. So why not?
This was one of the only 2 votes that completely shocked me. Like my jaw dropped. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Because I hadn't heard your name at all up to that point. So I was so shocked to see you go, Robin.
Yeah, me too. But it was the other people that were nominated: AJ and Luke and Spencer, of course, and Vinny.
What? Oh
It's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, you guys are the one that voted me out.
Yeah. It was a game move. It had to be done.
No, yeah, I was fully for. I'm fully for it. I was like, they got me.
And that's a sign of someone who also like I would love to play with again, and someone who I would actually get to like fun and talking this game about. Where I think our favorite seasons of these reality TV shows is where the people go as hard as hell, but can like step out afterwards. Like I think my favorite moment last night was jumping forward is Final Four with Katie, where we were just kind of ribbing each other, and then at the end it was like, okay, scene over, and we just like
when Vinny was robbed by the wheel.
I did it to myself. I did a lot of it to myself. I have so much on that. Anyway, sorry. This is Robin's time.
Emilie was my real showmance.
Robin, I found it, kind of interesting that you would have been in the mini last weekend if it all worked out. And as soon as I saw your video, I was like, okay, well, we're working together. Clearly, at least that was my hope.
I know that's what sucked. I was like, Louie's in this. I would love to work with you.
Oh yeah, and in the starting room. I didn't even think of that, Andrew. Yeah, all 3 of us would have been in the starting room with Christian if you had been in that one. If only things were different. But I'm sure. I mean, tell us. You let us know. Will you be back? Will you be playing again?
I think I'm gonna take a break for a little while. And also I'm gonna be in a few private ones coming up soon. Like I have some lined up, so you guys should look out for me on that. Also, please check out blackqueertownhall.org to just see everything that's happening there. It starts at 6:30 live online. And also on Monday, I'll be doing an interview with Chris on his channel, just about me and my life and all that stuff. So stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us, Robin.
Yes. Also, I want to say, let's continue to be positive. Let's continue to spread love in this community. Yeah. I love you all.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that brought us into round 7, which was the now or later round.
This one was fun.
Oh yeah.
It always is. I always feel like this is the round. I mean, just with any round that has so much strategy and so much planning. The first part of the round resulted in Luke's ouster. So what were we thinking here? Were we thinking of trying to save the vote? Were we dead set on voting the first round? How did that come about?
I saved my vote. I saved my vote because it was just like I figured like it was either going to be Luke or Andrew in the first round. I was like, it's guaranteed going to be Luke or Andrew. But I know my name had been floating out around that time, so I was like, you know what? Like, I know it's going to be Luke or Andrew in the now round. Let's save my vote for when I might need it in the later round.
Yeah, and so when your names floated around like that, I think my only option was to vote in the first round
100%.
and try to protect myself, and then hope for the best in round 2. And then when I hear 6 people voted, I knew I was in trouble.
See, and then my thought process there was I wanted to tell everyone to vote, and they need to vote now, and it's a great plan, and I'm going to go for Andrew right now. We should all vote for Andrew right now, and obviously that did not gain traction that round, but I had like been pushing it so hard that round that I think it kind of set it up for the next round to be like, all right, well, everyone knows who Katie is pushing, and she has a vote, so let's go. And I lied, and I told everyone I was going to use my vote the first round, and I felt kind of bad when Luke went because I told Luke I was going to vote for you that round, and then I didn't, and he went home. But stuff happens.
This was interesting because my main target had been Luke and Robin. Robin subtly, Luke very vocally, and I was in a room with Luke and had to basically tell him, dude, we haven't been in the same room here in quite some time. So that's why your name's been popping up, but let's try and do something now, which like wasn't really something I wanted to do, just something that like Luke's next target was probably me. So that was like, I thought something I hadn't thought about a ton except in game of the very much so like, dude, we're in the same room. Let's do something now just to avoid the target. But I think if you're not in trouble, you got to save it for 2. If you're in trouble, you go for 1, right?
Yeah, and Vinny, we had an interesting like a little talk there at the end where you I don't know if you were just putting it on or you really were torn between the two, maybe probably putting it on more.
So, yeah.
But were you making up rumors that like Luke was targeting that we were a pair when we were, so.
Yeah, that one was I wasn't going to vote no matter what in that round, and I did rather you stay. But the second, like, in my situation, I hear that I'm connected with a pair to you when my pairs are in so many other places. You leaving is sadly the best thing just because all of a sudden my threat level all of a sudden comes down of, okay, we cut off one of Vinny's numbers when you were someone I wanted to work with, but not like at the time a top tier guy, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why when you said that to me, I was like, they were just straight up lies because we maybe said hi once or twice
for
in
sure.
the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, so. I was shocked when I heard that.
So I'm running around just trying to talk to the people that I've had a good connection to. I think Jules, we talked for a split second there, and you were saying certain things, but I never heard who was saying my name.
I kept accidentally saying your name to you without any intention of getting you out. It was like everybody's faces and names were blurring together, and every guy just became an Andrew to me. Yeah. And so I think I was going to like, hey, I've heard a lot of Andrew from Andrew or something like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so if I were to like play it back, I should have like really drawn back to like 3 rounds of like, all right, who really did throw that hinky vote? Who put me up for elimination and got the ball rolling on my name? If I found out that it was Katie earlier, that round when I go out, I'm throwing out Dylan and AJ. And did I have a real beef with them? Not at all. It was just a matter of other people said they would do that. So I was like, let's do that too. It's not me.
I tried to get AJ out, but
yeah.
I ended up voting for you just because it was like 3 minutes left in the round or something like that. And I figured, I was like, I'm almost positive Andrew goes here and my vote's not going to be the deciding one. So
right,
it happened.
Yeah, same here. I voted Andrew, and then I lied about my vote the next round, just so people wouldn't vote against me. I told Katie was pushing Andrew this round. I thought Katie was going to vote Andrew, so I did vote because she told me to vote that round. Yeah.
Yeah, I saved. Oh, you go, Katie.
Go for it, Laura.
I saved my vote the first round and voted James the next round because I did not want to write your name, Andrew.
I couldn't tell, Laura. I felt like good vibes right off the bat, and then as like my name became more and more popular, I felt yourself just kind of being like, I can't be associated with him, so I'm just gonna back off and let him dig his own grave and not be a part of that.
Well, and I feel like it was extra hard for Laura to associate with you because the two of us were associated so tightly, and I was running my Get Andrew Out campaign. And there was like one really funny moment where it was me, Laura, Spencer, and AJ in a room. And I was just like, you know what? I want to get Andrew out. I've been voting for Andrew for rounds. I'm ready for him to go. And then you popped in like as I was saying that. And then the round ended. And it was so funny because me and AJ did not keep our faces at all. We were just like, oh, okay, well, that happened. But at that point, we knew you were heading out. So we didn't feel that terrible about it. It was just really awkward. And I'm like, I wish he hadn't have heard that right there.
Yeah. So, and Dylan just said he was pushing for me, which is awesome. And it was really people feeding me, vote Dylan. And so I felt like that was my only option because people were feeding me to vote Dylan and not telling me anything other than who's coming for you. And that, Katie,
I think I told you, Andrew, that Dylan was coming for you, and then I told Dylan you were coming. And that was kind of like my thing, is I would just, the people I wanted to like set up to go, I'd be like, they're coming for you, and they're coming for you, to like start butting heads. So like by telling Dylan, hey, Andrew's holding a rally against your name, it like put extra strength behind your name.
Yeah, and it's a great gameplay, and that's why you are who you are. But I think you probably threw the name Dylan out there to me and got me saying it in each room. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if Dylan was even going to be an ally, that was over.
Yeah, I feel like
ally until the end.
The now or later round, it's so hard if your name is already out there to clear it and not be a target one of those two rounds. Like, it's just so easy to jump on it that it's, I mean, you were a target for quite a while and you managed to avoid it for a decent amount of the game until it was too late. But yeah, I was impressed. I mean, how did you feel overall playing the second time? I mean, obviously you lasted a lot longer, but were you more comfortable with it this time around?
Yeah, definitely more comfortable. I mean, I got a lot of, like, the first time I played, I was just so, like, ready to go. Like, I was running from room to room, even though I'm sitting in a chair. I was a little more laid back, and I think I did a better job of trying to establish connections. I think I did a lot wrong and a lot of mistakes that I'll learn from, especially, and pick up things I need to do better. But if there's one thing I'm proud of, it was like trying to make connections with as many people. And I would only have lasted those 3 rounds that Katie tried to get me out because I had some people that knew I was going to be loyal to them and they were going to be loyal to me for as long as they could. So
Jules worked her ass off to keep you in the game. Like, she was rallying behind keeping you in the game, and it made my job really hard.
I mean, Nathan, Justine, I mean, even Emilie to a point, but she was clearly closer to you, and that I felt like there was like Vinny and Emilie right in the middle of you or me, Katie or me, and they just pushed with the Katie side, and I get that. So, but I was happy with how I played, and as like I said, I can always improve.
Absolutely. Are you? You think you're going to play again anytime soon?
I mean, back-to-back weeks, that's crazy. I did not expect that to happen. I mean, I love it. I'm having so much fun with it. I've already seen every single mini that's available to watch. But no, I'm not going to put an application in this week. But
skip a week. Come back next week. It's all right.
I'll be back.
All right. We'll be waiting. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Thanks, guys. Congrats, Katie.
Thanks.
All right, so that brought us to another red or green round, where once again 9 people hit red. So it was you all definitely sided with red. And this ended up, if you vote for who gets eliminated, then you'll be up for elimination the next round. Brent talked about this a bit. We didn't love this twist because we felt like it kind of favored scared gameplay rather than bold gameplay in terms of actually targeting someone. It just really made people throw their votes. In fact, so Laura, you ended up going home this round with 4 votes that were from Jules, Spencer, Vinny, and Chris. Yeah. So how did we all want to play this? Were a lot of you, planning on throwing your votes, or what was the thought process?
Oh, 100%.
Hey, Laura.
Yeah, no, that was 100%. That was 100% just a vote throw on my behalf. I was looking over to my left at my little list of notes I have on everybody's intro video, and I was like, whose name have I not heard at all game? And the only one that I could think of was, I was like, oh, nobody said Laura's name all game. So I was like, nobody would vote for her. Nobody would vote for her. This is gonna be it's either. I was like, it's definitely either going to be I think the other 2 names that were going around that round were
James was a big one that round.
Yeah, it was James and Dylan, maybe. I think I might have heard his name. I don't know, but so I was like, go for it. And then when I was 4 votes for Laura, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I really thought that Laura would have the fewest number of votes, and she was the person I expected the least to go home. And I guess, in retrospect, take a page from The Office. It's always the person you most mediums respect. Instead.
Such a good reference.
But
yeah, it's good.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, no, but I was sorry, go on.
I voted James this round because I had no problem being in the majority because, I'm going to last another round. Ideally, I wanted to have an LOS because I kind of looked at this as the even odd round. And I wanted to implement Jacob's strategy. He said it's a good, round for an LOS in case a hinky vote. And I knew I was primed for, a hinky vote.
Yeah, I was kind of the same as you, Laura. I'm I'll vote for James. This was one of the few rounds where I did what I promised I was going to do, because I was yeah, we'll get rid of James. If I'm going to be in the majority, fine. And then when your name came, yours was the only other one the only other vote that was an absolute shock to me, jaw drop, because I was I was planning on going to the end with Laura. That was my game plan. And I just at this point, my game completely shifted because I didn't have you as my ally. And at one point, Vinny had yelled your name out earlier, but it was deflected so quickly. And I was no, I don't want to go for girls yet. And I just never got to you in time to let you know, hey. I never got to you in time. And then you went, and it was sad.
Yeah, that, Laura, it's kind of interesting. That, what Katie just said was also a reason that my vote throw was for you. I noted how quickly, the thing about Sequester is it's so rare for people to fight back for a name. So when people do, it's kind of I wonder why. And then, so I was thinking about okay, all 3 people who are going pretty okay with a lot of them. And then the name, I think what names are being brought up? I think Dylan's being brought up.
And James.
Yeah.
Was there a third? I think there might have been a third. I'm free. Anyway. And I'm okay, I could throw probably smarter, but who can I throw on? And again, I think if you have no threat level, it's so much easier to play this game. It's so much easier when you're connected just to keep firing for people who you haven't been in a room with. Because I don't think I got unluckier in a room setting than with you, Laura, where it just and that's a bummer with Sequester that there is a huge luck element. And I was well, if Laura goes home, great for me. And I wasn't super worried if I was one of the 3 or 4 names. So it was really unlucky though, again, Laura, where you didn't do anything to deserve that. It was just a bummer.
Yeah, no, it was that entire round for me. That was one round where I was very confused as to what was happening. Looking back at everything that I took note of, I basically have nothing from that round because for me it was just an entire game of mental gymnastics that I was playing to try to figure out who I was going to throw my vote on that would least likely get most of the hinky votes. And but yeah, I didn't even remember hearing anybody say James, to be perfectly honest. That name never, I don't recall that ever happening. I think Dylan's name came up, and I think that was just some blowback from him being tethered by Travis in round 1 to James. So it was definitely very interesting to see what you guys are saying was happening during that round, because meanwhile I'm over here just okay, who the hell do I vote for?
this round was interesting for me because I ended up in a room with Lore and I voted her out. So in my mind, I think Vinny had said Lore's name. I didn't think she would go home. So before this, I feel like this is when my game kind of started picking up. I was trying to be in every room and be seen by everybody who was in the game at least once. And then I end up in a room with Lore and I was like, whoa, I didn't even know this girl's in the game. I'm probably just gonna throw my vote at her for her. Maybe other people would do the same. I was really hoping it wasn't the people that ended up with me up there because I felt really good about Vinny, Spencer. We had made a final 3. And I felt pretty good about Jules, so it just kind of sucked that it was us 4 up there.
100%.
I know, I was so sad that Jules voted for me.
Yeah, Laura,
I was so shocked that Laura went.
I
I wanted to work with you like so bad.
I really felt like I needed an LOS this round, and like I wonder if maybe I should have just, said I heard my name going around because
I was so convinced James was going home. Like the next 5 rounds.
I was so confident James was gone this round that I'm like, oh, don't even have to. James is out of here. No worries. Like, yeah, it'll suck to be in the majority, but like everyone's voting James.
Yeah. And then this is actually where I think my game started to tank because we were trying to think of new boots, and then that's where I started adding Chris, and then Justina said Emilie, and so I was pushing for Emilie. I think that's where Katie and I just started diverging because I didn't realize how tight Katie and Emilie were. So
wait, is I still here?
Yeah, he's in the background.
Tell me if I actually brought up Dylan's name this round because I legitimately couldn't remember. And so when I
never
was,
brought up
surprised,
Dylan at all.
Dylan, yeah,
when I was surprised, that was
there was another
note.
There's another round where Dylan's name was brought up, and
that threw me off because I was like, I'm not going after you. Stop.
Right, and then at the end of this round, I remember when the votes were read, or when it was announced that it was Lore, and when it was announced Chris, Vinny, Jules, and I voted for her. I was in a room with Ryan, Katie, and Emilie, I believe. And I was just head in hands. I was head in hands. So embarrassed and just so angry at myself. I was like, how could I have done this to myself?
I was in the room with Jules and Vinny. I saw both of them
I don't
we were in the same room.
Yeah, I was in the same room with Jules and Vinny, and they're both freaking out. It's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm gonna try to stay both.
Katie and Emilie, do you remember who was in that room with us?
What were we talking about?
During the round that Lore went, when we thought James was gonna go and Spencer threw his vote and then got put up too.
But do you remember who was in that room with us when those votes were announced?
Oh fuck!
There was the 3 of us.
It may have been Dylan.
I think it was Dylan. I think
or AJ.
Yeah.
I was just I was just hands behind my head, just so angry at the world. And you guys, and it's still on a mute. And you guys are just why? What happened? Why did you vote for Lore? I don't understand. And when we come off mute, I was just I fucked up. Guys. I messed up. Because I was sure that moving forward, I was screwed. That was my mentality. So I was between Chris, Vinny, and Jules, who can I just throw under the bus hardest? And immediately
it actually worked really well for me because Chris was my backup. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna shove really hard for Chris, and then
Well, yeah, and looking at that list, I was we were in the same starting room, so obviously I wasn't trying to go after you because our starting room was doing real strong at that point. And then I was like, well, I mean, I do enjoy Chris, but at that point our bond had kind of just been its own thing. We were playing our own games, he wasn't super on the forefront of my mind. So when his name came out, it was just kind of okay, go for it. I'm I didn't want to vote for Jules because my whole thing was I'm not voting for girls. So that was fun.
I felt fine until I think Dylan came into the room looking for me, saying that Spencer told him that I was going for him in previous rounds. And I was like, oh, crap, because in my mind, I was so Spencer and Dylan were probably in a room together with at least 2 other people. Those 4 are probably voting for me. And at that point, I was do I go chase after Spencer? Or do I stay
God,
here?
Yeah, that's what happened. No, it's all coming back to me now. I went to at the beginning of that round. I immediately found a room with Dylan, thankfully, and I was like, Dylan, Jules is BSing you right to your face. Like last round, I was in a room with her, and she was saying she was like trying to vote for you. Then the three of us ended up in a room, and she was like, "Oh, who are we gonna vote for?" I was like, "We need to go for her." And he was like, "Oh yeah, fuck that. Like I don't want to have to deal with that." And I was like, "Perfect. Like Dylan's gonna be the attack dog who's gonna push Lauren's name or Jules' name out like that."
I had no idea Jules was going home. Like people are going for Jules. I was just like pushing so hard for Chris.
I knew that it was a risk, but at the same time, I was like, I didn't trust Dylan when he said that all was good and, you know, like forgive and forget. And I totally believe that you weren't coming after me. So I was like, if I leave this room, I feel like Dylan might get the two other people in here to come for me. And at that point, I was like, I'm pretty sure these two people are voting Chris, and I'm pretty sure Chris has the majority. So we'll just go Chris here, and I'll find Spencer next round, and all will be fine. But, you know, didn't happen.
Yeah. Right. And again, it was kind of just a situation of who can I get out easier in the future? And I felt like in the same way that Katie was pushing so hard to like, hey, let's not vote out any women, I was like, this is a very interesting trend where women just aren't getting voted out here. So I was like, women aren't getting voted out unless it's a fluke. Be it an LOS play to get Robin out, or like 4 people throw their votes on Laura. So I was like, okay, well, this is not going to be easy to do in the future. So like, let's get Jules out. As well as like, I knew that I was probably like the only person whose name had been floating around like for such a long time. So I was like, I need to be more compelling than anybody else.
I had no idea your name was even being floated out.
Yeah, from round 1. I almost went home. Round 1.
Oh wait, yeah, I actually voted for you. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
But like afterwards, like I never went for you. And I think was this the round we started? We were trying to like do coding. Like I was trying to like speak in code.
Yeah. No, that was the round. That was the round I went out, I think.
Okay. Oh no, never mind. But then like I got in trouble because I think this is where I was trying to push for backups, and I was with Katie. And I was like, who should our backups be? And I said, James and Emilie. And I was like, because Justine talked to me and she was like, Emily's really dangerous. And then so I was like relating to Katie. And then Katie's like, no, don't do Emilie, like do James. And then I was like, okay, I'll do James.
That backup strategy was something that Katie and I actually worked together on like multiple times throughout my time in the game. Like I would end up in a room with her, and it would just be like, okay, let's vote for this person. And then next round, like, let's vote for this person. And then we go on to the next round. I end up in a room with Katie again, and we're both just like, hey, let's do the same thing again. Like, we're voting for.
No, that's crazy because I had no idea you were working with Katie to do backups as well. Like, because I was like doing that with her.
I was working with a lot of people.
Katie's brain. Katie's brain.
The mist. Yeah, honestly, the only person I felt like I didn't have convinced on me was Jules. So when you went out on that LOS, I was like, okay. I mean, like that stinks because it's a girl going again. But you were the only one that I felt like had me pegged as like not trusting me.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
that round,
a little bit, but
I didn't vote for you, Jules. I voted for Spencer. So I literally, when I told you that I had your back, I was good. I had nothing against you.
I was really debating going to find Spencer and going to other rooms to see what was up. But I was like, I feel like if I leave here, Dylan might try to get the votes off of Chris and onto me. So I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, no, I voted for Spencer the next 3 votes. So this round and then the 2 votes in the drag round. I had nothing against. I was shocked when you went because I hadn't heard your name besides someone telling me that you threw my name out there, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna go find her. And I did, and I was like, okay, Spencer might be lying to me, I don't care. It made it easy for me because I'd already voted for him.
Yeah, these these back-to-back rounds where I got room limit, got a little nervous because the girls started dropping, and I was like, shit, like we've been holding strong, we've been keeping the numbers, and now we're dwindling. And I was getting very nervous about the girls. So I was surprised that me, Emilie, and Justine were able to power through as far as we did at this point, because it would have been very easy to knock the 3 of us off right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I was pushing Chris that round and then voted Spencer. I don't know why I voted Spencer, but I was pushing Chris.
I would like to know why you voted for me too that round, huh?
Well, honestly, at that point, I had voted for you, and I was thinking if I can make it through the drag, and not vote for new people, I knew that Final 9 was going to be history can't repeat. And so if I kept voting for you, I could vote for like anyone. At that point, when we got to Final 9, the only people I couldn't vote for were Ryan and AJ. I could vote for anyone else. So I was like,
right.
I wanted to keep that so I could keep my options open and I could target anyone I wanted to. Like I had pushed Chris like 4 rounds at this point and hadn't voted for him once. Like,
right.
I was like, he was in my starting round. I'm not going to vote for him.
Yeah, I felt the same, Dylan. This is the round I used my LOS when I was nominated, and I knew that whoever I wanted to go was going to go this round. I was not going to push Spencer or Vinny. We had a final, like we made a final 3. I didn't know how legit.
We had our fake Stoners alliance.
Yeah, so I just knew like they could.
Not a stoner.
My whole game so far, I just wanted to be. To this point, I just wanted to be somebody that the power players could rely on. So I felt pretty good about Vinny. I felt pretty good about Katie. Even if they were pushing my name, I didn't think they were ever gonna like really come after me that hard.
Yeah.
And I was taking a gamble. So
yeah, I pushed you but didn't vote you. So much love.
Yeah.
I was like room 3 because we had already lost Jalen and Robin at this point, and I was like, so does our room? I was in a confessional at one point and said, I'm pushing his name, but I hope he doesn't go because room 3, but it's also kind of dead. So I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how early. This is a super small tangent that I don't remember when to talk about. I forget if it was this round or way earlier, where when there's room limits, I started the nose goes, which
I thought I started that.
I don't think so.
Everybody does the nose goes. That's like
is that
that's
Sequester thing? Is that big?
Yeah, no, that happens.
Okay.
That happens at
Never
almost
mind.
every single.
I was
movie.
gonna
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know I refuse to leave. I'm like, fuck you. No.
Because that's a funny way to do it. It's like, hey, I'm gonna do this every time. I ain't leaving.
We're anti nose goes here in Podquester Mini. We're anti nose goes.
Yeah, no, I was just like there was only one time where I was like in a room, and I was in a room for a very long time when it was at room limit, and nobody was budging. And I think there were like 2 or 3 people waiting, and everybody was just kind of sitting there, just like.
Yeah, I think that was the round where people were throwing my name out. I think I babysat in the room. I didn't want you guys to keep talking about me. I knew I had an LOS. I wasn't gonna go anyways, but I just wanted the conversation of my name to stop from the room where I knew the people were saying it the most. I think that might have been.
Gotcha. Now, Louie, I have a question for you as somebody who is like watching. As somebody who was like watching all of the rooms going on, like, did you hear my name going out as much as people were saying it was going around?
You know what? I didn't start. I mean, definitely not in the early rounds. I would say right about now is when it started to become a little bit more prevalent. And that's the thing is like once it's out one round, then it's just out. Then you're really not getting it back. It's very rare you can get it back. But prior to this,
Emilie,
no.
I have a question for Spencer too.
Go for it.
I was just curious because, like, obviously we knew each other beforehand. Did you like see the cast and you were like, "Oh fuck," at all?
No, I was like, I saw you and AJ. You guys were the only 2 people that I knew beforehand, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like, those are 2 people that like I want to try to like maybe work with, but I don't want to like keep myself super closely aligned. But like at the beginning, like super closely aligned. But I would like to work very closely with them in the game.
Yeah.
But and then. The round that I end up leaving, the next round, right, the drag round, I end up in a room by myself with Vinny. Like, it's just Vinny and I in a room, and he was like, dude, Final 4, me, you, Katie, and Emilie. And I was like, where did this come from? But awesome, like, this is such a great alliance. And then immediately, very shortly after, I pop into a room with Emilie and Katie, and they're like, yeah, James threatened to drag us if we vote for him and he gets eliminated, so... I don't know, but yeah, that was definitely like an interesting dynamic that I wasn't expecting. To know 2 people from like outside of the Sequester community in a game.
I was just like more worried, like, is he gonna say anything? I was like, oh my god, I hope he doesn't.
But I did at one point, and then I was like, we were in a room. It was in a room with like me, you, and AJ, and I was like, hey, look, like casually, I think we all know each other, and then immediately Andrew pops in. And I was like, okay, great. Like, I waited for so long to say anything about it. And then the second I did, Andrew popped in.
So many times I wanted to be a one-on-one conversation. I'm like, people would come in. I'm like, oh, like it was so tough.
Emilie, this is the round where you were like, Chris, you need to be more impressionable, and I'm like, okay, and I just leave the room.
Yeah.
Mid-sentence.
Well, I do that a lot with people though. I'm like, I'm one-on-one. I'm like, dude, like either you're being loud or like just say. I did the same thing with Vinny. I'm like, you're very likable and charming. You need to chill, dude. Like, like Chris came in, and I'm like, yeah, you need to make an impression because right now you're.
Yeah. This is when I started targeting you, only because you were one of the only people that I didn't feel comfortable with at that point, and I knew my name was out. And then you telling me that you were like, your name is out there, you need to be more impressionable. I was like, all right, Emilie seems a little shady. I'm just gonna try to push her name from here on out, and I did. I didn't know if you were being genuine or.
I am always being genuine when I say
thought you were
like
trying
that.
to keep me in a room and just have a conversation. So I was just like,
No, I was just like, you're boring.
Wait, I want to address Susie's comment in the live commentary too. She said, "Wait, Vinny is not a stoner." No, Vinny, Chris, and I ended up in a room, and they were like, "Spencer, do you smoke weed?" And I was like, "No, sorry, I don't." And they were like, "Oh, okay." Like, then we can't have a stoners alliance. I was like, "No, I could pretend though." But yeah, no. And then this round, this was the round that like this next round, man, that got super uncomfortable for me at like multiple occasions with between Justine and James and AJ and Nathan, for crying out loud.
It just sucks because after like the killer game that we just had, like we're not gonna be able to play for like a month or something because people are gonna be like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah. Just wear a beard. No one will know. That's what I do.
Perfect.
Also, hey, Laura, I know Laura's. I feel like she's kind of waiting. I was just saying, I'm bummed we didn't actually get to know each other play, but I'm sure you'd be pretty badass here in another season.
Oh, thanks, Vinny. I really loved your game. You really played your ass off. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Really impressive.
Yeah, and I think this is a round. I mean, we'll see how this round progresses, but I feel like it's such a hard round to predict because so many people will throw their votes, and like I'm just thinking of it really is a chance to take out a huge target if you know that, you know, in this round, you know, you say it would now or later, but even more so with this, there's always going to be so few votes that if you want to target a big, you know, make a big shot, this is the time to do it. But Laura, I thought you played great. I didn't realize till after that, like, I had seen you on Twitter before and interacted with you. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. I love when that happens.
Shown my face before, but you know, I love Sequester, and I had to get in on this.
Absolutely. Did you have fun? Do you think you'll play again?
Yeah, I'm signed up for a private mini next month, so you might see me again.
Absolutely. We'll see you then. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye. So that brought us to round 10, which was the aftermath of the previous round, and it was Jules, Spencer, Vinny, and Chris on the block, which after a successful LOS play resulted in Jules leaving the game. So tell us more about that. What was everybody thinking? How were we scrambling then?
Man, I was actually pretty close to playing my LOS for Chris last round. So when I heard he played his, and I have to say mine was pretty stoked. Oh man, that was the best. Oh, that was great, Chris.
Thank you, man. I didn't even know you were gonna use an LOS on me. So
yeah, I was really debating it, dude. I was really debating it.
Where did your LOS go?
You know, I had to play it because this one person, her name kept getting called out, and I was afraid for her. You know.
So when I was in the starting room with you at the beginning of this round, and Ryan and I were both set on Chris, were you just not down for that at all?
Yeah, I was not down, Jules. Jules, you were maybe this. I was like, Jules is maybe the sweetest person on this cast. Like, not even close. You know, like every time I talk to you, I just wanted to actually get to know you rather than like just like talk game. But then in this round, I was so pissed of who it was because I was like really starting to get on board with the James plan and starting to push that a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, like sweet Jules, I have to push her and not for Chris. I was so sad. I was really bummed. But it was just. Yeah,
Jules, you were literally the person that I wasn't in a solid alliance with, but we always ended up in the same rooms. I felt like every single round. So I never really wanted to target you for that reason. So when it was just, you know, us four up there, I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I
Julie,
don't remember if it was Ryan who brought you up first or me. I think it was Ryan, but I think
it was
as soon as your
Ryan.
name, yeah.
Yeah,
As
because
soon
we're
as
in the
your name
same
was
room.
there,
We're
I
in
was
the
like,
same
I'm just gonna
room.
go for it.
Yeah, Jules,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
me.
really, that was a bummer because we're in the same room to start, and then the second you left, I immediately found people. I'm like, I'm hearing Jules and Chris, which like obviously I hadn't heard your name, but I'm like, Jules is throwing Chris. I'm hearing her name too, and it sucked.
Yeah, I knew I was gone when I heard Chris played as LOS just because of the whole Dylan Spencer thing. I got kind of sketched out, but
yeah, I mean, and this is the round that I confronted you, and you were like, I didn't say that. Spencer made that.
My reaction was completely genuine. I
could tell because you like literally were like. Like it wasn't a fake. It was like you were like you gasped, like took a shot back. And I was like, okay, she's being real about this.
I voted for you. The one round that I didn't vote in the majority was round 2, and that was mostly because I just really liked Tyler.
I don't know how I survived that round. If we want to come back to that for a second, I went back and
voted for you that round, Dylan.
Yeah,
see,
I did too.
I
don't
didn't
know how
vote for
we-
Dylan.
even though Ryan's the one that pushed it.
I know.
No.
I was pushing for Chris.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how I survived round 2. I went back and rewatched it this morning. I never heard Tyler and Daniel except when I was there.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever heard it. And like I told James and I have been messaging back and forth, and I told him, I was like, I went into a room and I was like, I need you to fight with me. I need you to fight for us. And I don't know how.
Dude, Dylan, I'm really glad you got to stick around. Like, even hearing the way you think about the game, I enjoy that was in the game longer. And like, we got a couple interactions and really small times, but I listened back to the jury and the way your brain works and the way you care about the game. Like, those are the people who I want to go far. So I was pumped that you did. I was just, that's something that was.
Apparently, like in your conversation with Spencer, you were a lot more fired up. Like looking back at the chat, and then you came into the room with me, and you were pretty like mild about it. You were just like, "Hey, I heard this from Spencer. Is it?"
I did the same thing to Ryan. I was so pissed when I want to say AJ told me that Ryan was throwing my name out.
That's probably who it was.
And I think I did the exact same thing.
I was so confused, like, because like, I mean, I threw your, I mean, I wasn't really pushing that hard for you, like, and so I was like so confused, like, what was going on. That's why, like, I was talking. I was like, "Who is throwing me?" Like, and I was trying to figure it out.
See, because like I did the exact same thing. I like came into the room and I was like, "Hello, I have a question for you," and I just kind of did like, I know what's happening here, but I mean, like I said, I didn't vote for you. I voted Spencer. Not that it mattered this round, but we'll get into that next round.
Yeah. Oh.
Susie has
I'm
appeared.
back.
What up, Susie?
Yeah, a rogue Susie appears.
Can I just say
in the
you're
air.
like my fave, fangirling hard.
Oh, me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Oh no, me? Oh, this is getting confusing. Oh, thank you. I am a big fan of Draft Sequester. Do you want to talk a little bit about Draft Sequester while we have you here for
Sure.
just a sec?
So Draft Sequester, if you all don't know, is Renee, who played in, I want to say the 5-8 mini and Heroes versus Villains, a robbed queen by the wheel. She puts on the draft every mini, every public mini, and then private mini she also will do if the organizer asks her to, and they make it public for everyone. So if you have not drafted your team for tonight's Survivor mini, it closes at the start of the videos. So normally you have until the start of the second round on a normal patron mini. Since the cast was released early, she closes it right at the beginning, so you have to do it beforehand. For those of you that have been playing continuously, the top 15 on the cumulative leaderboard after 10 minis get to play in a private mini put on by Renee. I was close. I don't know if I'm still up there, but I was close.
I'm number 66.
Oh, you were up higher. Did you not do well last night?
I haven't seen last night's. I don't know if it got. What's it called?
Who'd you draft? Who'd you draft?
I don't. I know. I always draft women, so I had the Katie strategy there. She's excited, so I know I drafted women, and I don't remember who else I drafted. I'll have to ask Renee.
I took Vinny. I know that much.
Oh, my guy.
I took myself. thinking I was going to be second boot and like negative points, and then somehow ended up like fourth highest score of the night. And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Nice. Inside information.
Hell no.
We're going to call
I
this
wish.
insider trafficking on Draft Sequester.
I wish.
No, this is such a fun game too to do Draft Sequester because we're all such competitive people that you like. I really do keep checking it. I'm just like, I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Where am I?
Every round, like as she updates it, I'm like, where am I at? Where am I at? Like, so
yeah, when I see somebody do a confessional, I'm like, yes, that's me.
I was telling her,
stuff like that.
We didn't do the Draft Sequester for the Thursday night mini, but I found because I'm the one that watches confessionals and gives point or like tells her who gets points. And like I found myself still going and watching confessionals because I was like, oh, there's a confessional. I need to see what they're talking about. And then I was like, oh wait, I don't need to do this tonight. I can actually watch most of the game.
Just enjoy it.
But anyway.
So this is the round that Jules goes out on. And Jules, how did you feel when you heard that LOS was played?
I knew it was me right away, just because there was no way it was Vinny. I was pretty sure about that. So at that point, I was like, it's 50-50. And I've heard my name going around, but I didn't hear Spencer's. So apparently Dylan voted for Spencer, but maybe in retrospect, I should have too. But, you know.
That's hard, yeah.
That round. Spencer could have gone out in a tie run round earlier.
Now, Vinny, you did have some advice in this round, right? Emilie told you that you were being too charismatic.
This was a really fun, I think this set up for a lot of the long-term game because I was kind of cycling between a lot of different groups at this point. And I thought Emilie saying that while I was also in a room with someone else was very nice of her, obviously, and built a lot of trust. Because what Emilie did that others didn't is I didn't talk to her primarily most of the start of the game. Wasn't in a starting room like I was with Spencer and Katie. And she just hooked me like instantly when you were playing. And that led to, okay, I have an LOS. So I'm going to overtly ask a rule I already know the answer to. So Emilie knows I'm willing to play an LOS on her. And then I thought us bonding on the LOS would lead to some damage later. And recognizing her, like I figured she would assume herself as a pretty big player. And that like the biggest thing is like when you have common things that link each other, whether that's an LOS connection, whether that's, hey, we're big targets, whether we're female, whatever it is, like that transcends the game and is how you actually can believe something, which you can't in Sequester because you don't see votes.
Yeah. Do you remember who else was in the room with you
when
she said that?
I don't. I forget. Was it you, Dylan?
I was in there. I think it was me and it may have been Katie.
Yeah, I think it was.
It
was either 4 or just you, me, and Emilie, and then luckily everyone left outside with just me and Emilie, where we got some FaceTime, and then I got really lucky this game. Of when the round ended, I was perfectly in rooms with people who I needed to talk to in certain spots. Which again, you can't predict that. I got really lucky, and that led to the next round, Emilie and I think connecting and doing some damage for the rest of the game because of it.
I think this is the round that our little group of 3 really started to solidify. Because I remember coming into the room and it was you and Emilie in there, and I want to find this clip because it was so funny. Yeah. Where we walk in and we're like, our favorite people, and we're all screaming and chanting. Yeah. And then I think this might be when Dylan pops in. As we're celebrating or something. But I don't know.
See it, though. I think I saw the aftermath. You guys don't like. When I got put into the background, you guys were like. I was like, okay, hi, what's going on?
But yeah, this was, I think, the round that really solidified us, which helped get the 3 of us as far as it did.
100%.
Dylan, how did you feel when you saw Emilie tell Vinny you're being too charismatic?
I think I agreed with her. I think I said, yeah, you might want to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, because Dylan and I were cool there. Like Dylan, us two, Ryan, and was it AJ? Were like a couple of times I've been like, hey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like there are a couple of groups that Dylan and I were in, which was nice. Like it'd be different if like James was in the room, who I didn't have a ton of relationships with, but I felt good about that for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like I even, I was like, I've heard it a little bit, and I said to someone, I don't remember who I was talking to. I was like, Vinny could be a really big threat because he's super likable. Like everyone likes him. I've not heard his name.
Thanks,
I think that may end up being the round that I got voted out, but
no, it was not at all. No, it wasn't. But no, I appreciate you guys saying that. I mean, it's good to hear that you're liked, I guess. But no, I appreciate it.
So Do we have any other insights on this round? Did anybody on how Jules went out, robbed Queen?
The actual nicest person went home.
True.
Yeah. I was pissed. I wanted to work with Jules.
Doing the heart emoji. Just
I was
Okay.
relieved.
Jules, is this the correct Twitter for you?
To be perfectly honest, I have no idea. I don't really use Twitter, so I think I follow like 6 accounts. It might
Do you
be.
use Instagram?
I do.
Okay, what's your Instagram? Tell us all.
Jules.Keem, my last name, Keem.
Okay, so follow her on Instagram, y'all, instead of Twitter, because apparently we don't even know if this is her real Twitter.
He's MySpace.
To slide into my DMs or something like reality TV show related.
Vinny said, "I'll check you out on LiveJournal."
Jules, you'll make my top 8. You'll make my top 8.
But we loved having you on, Jules. We were a big favorite in our live commentary. I think that I at one point said I was going to make a fan vid of just all the times you rolled your eyes because you had so many amazing expressions. So we really do appreciate you both being on here tonight and your gameplay. Do you think you're going to play again soon?
Oh, please do.
My original plan was whenever the first time was that I went on Sequester, the second time I was going to come back in a wig with glasses and pretend to be like the twin sister. But then Louie took that, so you know.
Well, I mean, he didn't say twin sister. He went.
Yeah, just so everyone watching knows, I have a twin sister. She looks a lot like me. You know, different hair color. She wears glasses, but absolutely not the same person.
Well, now you ruined her
So
chances.
this is the right Instagram.
Now, if she comes on, they're just gonna think it's you. So.
Oh well, you know.
Oops.
Just y'all root for her.
We do. We will, and we do. So thanks so much, Jules, for coming on today. And we do hope to see you soon, both on Podquester and on Sequester itself.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Katie. Congrats! I'm so excited to root for you on Winners at War 2. So.
Jules, I'm hoping you're there with me too before then.
Oh my God. If we just had the game again, it would be a good Winners at War. I'll tell you that. Thanks again, Jules. So that moves us into the next round, which was our drag. And the drag round is.
There's Spencer. There he is.
Yeah, and so the drag round, and we end up with Spencer going out and dragging Nathan. And I think we were all surprised about this. And I think we were surprised both with the vote and with the drag. So I would love to hear y'all talk a little bit about how Spencer went. I think Justine had some good work here, so I'm sad she's not here to talk a little bit about it, but Chris also had some good work here, so we've got some good talk to go on. How did
I'm personally thrilled Justine isn't here to talk about this round, but sorry, can you go on?
She'll get you again. She'll find you to talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So this round started, and I was in a room with just AJ and Nathan, and I had been noticing like the trend of the rounds past. I was like, okay, the targets from the previous round are getting eliminated this round. And that just kept on happening and happening and happening. Like that's basically how most people went out leading up to this point. So I was like, AJ, Nathan, while we're here, before anybody jumps in here, like let's cut this shit right now. Like let's finish this off. Like we need to take out some of the people who aren't playing as hard, like who are going to be like dragged further along in the game. Like, and then I look at my list and who's on my new list that I have of people, but who are the first two names, but Justine and James. So I literally just said the first two names that I thought of. And I was like, Justine and James. Sure. I haven't worked very closely with either of them, so why not? And they were like, okay, perfect. Somebody came in, so I was like, all right, left. I end up in another room, maybe with Vinny, just for a moment. We're like, hey, let's do this. I bounce into a different room, and who's in that room but Justine, James, Nathan, and AJ. And the first thing I hear is, "Where's Spencer? Let me go find him," from Justine. And I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." And then AJ immediately leaves. I pop in. I'm like, "I'm right here. What's up?" And she was like, "I heard you throw my name out." And I was like, "Yeah, I did say your name. Like, I said that we need to like take out some of the people who aren't playing as hard, yada, yada, yada." And she was like, "But I was going to vote for Chris. Like, I saved you round 1. I'm like, "It's round 11. Like, I can't look back 10 rounds prior and like think about this." So yeah. And then it's like, you know, we briefly make up with the people in that room. And then I bounced
I'm
around
sorry.
a couple times.
That was a great reaction. I have to come back in just because it made me so happy to hear that. Hear you say that you were like, that was 10 rounds ago, because we do often have people be like, "We've been together since the beginning. It's been an hour and a half of my life with you." And I love that you were just like,
yeah, Mike, and it's nothing, and it was absolutely nothing against Justine, but I was like, you know, we were in the same room together round 1, and that's great and all, but I don't think these like starting room alliances, like that isn't what bonds people together for the long haul. Like, that keeps people together for the short amount of time, and if they're able to build that relationship moving forward, then that's great. But that's like that's like a very, very fragile like foundation for a relationship in this game. And like she, and so yeah, I mean,
I've seen some good starting room alliances.
No. And I'm not saying it's impossible for that to happen, but I am saying it's like, oh hey, you know, we were in the starting room, let's work together. It's like, yeah, okay. Then like you get along with somebody else, and you're like, okay, forget about those people I was in the starting room with. Yeah,
just being more fluid in the game.
This round is where I kind of had to choose in that starting room alliance.
Well, that was the revote.
No, I
Right.
voted for you in the first round.
I voted for you in the
because I
first
had
round
to
as well.
choose between you and Justine, because Justine comes in and is like, you know what, like Spencer's starting to throw names out, like he's got to go, he's calling me a floater. So I had to think in my head, okay, do I go with Spencer's plan and go after James, or do I go with Justine's plan and go after Spencer? And at this point, Team girl, I had to go after you, Spencer, because that's what Justine wanted, and I wanted to go further in the game with Justine. There was only 3 girls left. I couldn't let another girl become a target.
So my thought in this round was, I had told Spencer the last round that I had voted for him previously, just to like put it out in the air, like I voted for you, so I can't vote for you in the round that I was talking about earlier. But then my thought was, I'm gonna throw my vote on Spencer, because if Spencer is the one that people throw their votes on, he won't be shocked to hear my name be exposed, because I've told him I voted for him already. So he knows it. I've done it. So he won't feel betrayed by me by thinking, oh, well, he's always been with me, yada, yada, yada. So I put your name down in the first round, and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess that worked out in my favor a little bit, because there's going to be people that he's going to be shocked by.
To that, I'll say, at that point in the game, like when you had told me, like, oh, I had voted with you, I was like, or I had voted for you, I was like, okay, like you and I hadn't really like talked any strategy or anything like that. So I was like, when you were like, I voted for you, I was like, okay, not a big deal. Like, people vote for each other. Like, it wasn't anything like that. So when the votes ended up being exposed for who voted for me, I wasn't surprised to see your name, but I wasn't surprised to see your name, but I wasn't pissed, because like, even though you had kind of been deceitful and like, hey, look, I voted for you, but like no hard feelings, like I'm not going to do it, I like don't want you out. I was just like, I haven't been working with Dylan. Like, I don't care that he voted for me, because like that was not a relationship that I was relying on. So I was pissed when on this revote, of course, that this is a question that I want to ask you, because AJ and Nathan aren't here. What the hell happened in that room when the second before I popped in?
I think we all three said vote James. Like literally all 3 of us said we're voting James. And then none of us voted James. But my plan was never to vote James, because from the moment James and I got tethered, our names were there together, and typically his name before mine. So I knew that if I voted him, he would be pissed and would have dragged me. But 2, more so, I knew that 1, keeping him there would put a target in front of me still, and 2, you wouldn't be shocked to hear my name.
Right.
So
right, and it was less of shock and more of just like indifference. To be perfectly honest. But okay, you 5 here. Who did any 5 of you want me to leave?
No, I did not.
I voted James.
So for me,
I thought James was going.
I was almost trying to propose like a final 2 with you because I realized I had like no final 3. I realized the problem was like I was kind of good with everyone, but I was more like on the outer rims, and I was like, oh my gosh, like So I tried I was like, here, like let's speak in code, like let's like. I had like the code thing was such a total fail on my part because I kept trying to introduce it and then people it took too long to explain it to people and then the people I know, and then the people that I shared it to kept getting eliminated, and the other person was Dylan, I think, but then Dylan was too busy yelling at me. So
well, after you told me that we were good, I didn't
leave that on the screen for a second. Leave that on the screen. AJ's comment, because I on the revote, when it came around to oh, it's a tie, I pop into a room with Emilie and Katie, who are 2 people that I had been working with very, very closely. And they're like, oh, Spencer, James just threatened to vote or to drag one of us if he was eliminated. And if we voted for him and he was eliminated. And then you were like, oh yeah, but I don't like that shit. I don't want to be bullied into voting for who I want to vote for. So in my mind, great play, Katie. To just completely dismiss your terrified, how terrified you were of being dragged by James. And that's no knock on you of being scared of that, because nobody wants to get dragged. But
no, that's why I was pushing James harder, because I thought.
But Katie, you had me completely sold that you were not going to vote for me and that you were absolutely going to vote for James. Yeah.
Oh, see, I wasn't trying to sell that. I was trying to sell to you James is putting us in this shitty situation. I'm going to go out there and push your name, but I don't want you to go. I'm going to fight for you, but I may have to save my own ass.
Regardless, I knew where your intent was. I knew that your intent wasn't let's get Spencer out. I knew it was well, I don't want to get dragged. And typically, I don't like that kind of move where it's I'm going to vote to avoid getting dragged, because vote for who you want to leave the game. That's how I typically play. But it worked out very well for you, and that made you and Emilie this for the remainder of the game.
I will say there was
so I have to give you props for that.
Well, it's
there was an interesting moment here where I don't remember if it was Katie or Emilie was telling Spencer that this was happening and was trying. I think it was you, Katie, and you were like, I can't vote for, and you were trying to say I can't vote for James for this reason. You were like, James said he's going to drag me and Emilie, but you didn't get so I want to push James, but before you could finish that thought, James popped into the chat.
Yeah, and then Spencer popped into the chat.
Well, when he popped in, when James came in there, I was like, "There's no point in me being you." When James came into that room, I was like, "There's no point in me being here with James, Katie, and Emilie, because I'm voting for James. I need to try to get other people. Obviously, I'm voting for James. It's a tie. Katie, he's already spoken with Katie. He's already spoken with Emilie, and I can't convince him anyway. So I was just like, let me get the hell out of here and go try to talk to other people as soon as I could. And yeah, that's when I popped into the room with AJ, Dylan, and Nathan, and they're all like, okay, yeah, so let's do that. And then I'm like, do what? And then it's like, oh, time's up. And I was like, oh boy. But I was pretty certain that once there was a revote, that I was kind of just going to go home regardless, whether it be by the vote or James dragging me, because I called him a floater to his face and told him that I had thrown his name out there. So logically, it would make 100% sense to just retaliate and drag me out of the game because of that.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's kind of funny when Katie and Emilie, when you guys were saying you guys were scared of James dragging you, so because that actually pushed me even harder to vote for James. I don't know if you heard me. I was like, let's do a unanimous vote, and then I was pushing really hard because I was hoping James would pull Emilie and I would fill Emilie's spot. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
When James threatened that is when that bond between me and Emilie really solidified, because we were both like, fuck you. Like, how are you going to threaten to drag us just because of the reason that we are in the same room as you?
I was in that room.
We
room.
hadn't voted for James. Like, we voted for Like, I voted for you to go in the first round, Spencer, because I wanted to work with Justine. And when he immediately was like, I'm going to drag any of you if you like do this, I was like, that's such bullshit. And that bonded me and Emilie because of our anger at James. And that's what helped propel us to the end. And I didn't want you to go, but I also wasn't going to risk my game for you, because the game was more important to me than our relationship.
And absolutely. I mean, you have to do what's going to get you farther in the game regardless. But I think if it was any other round, that I would have been fine. If it was a straight up round, then I'm okay. But I think like, because it was that round, I was just like, I was in trouble. And I think it was completely my own doing, as AJ can attest, because I do want some sort of like explanation as to what happened. You don't need to justify yourself, because I get it, but I'm just like very curious what happened between the time that you, me, and Nathan were in that room.
Oh,
and
let me
like, hey,
talk about it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so that round was really interesting because Emilie mentioned this earlier. Like, I only knew Emilie and Spencer from like the org community, so I was like, okay, cool. But I've had experience in the past where I play a game with someone I know, and my reputation as a like sociable, likable player comes back to bite me in the ass. So I knew I had to get Spencer and Emilie out at some point. I was able to do it kind of with Spencer, but not with Emilie, obviously. So that round started, and we were like, let's go after Justine and James. I was like, fine, whatever. I hop into the next room. Justine and James are sitting there. I'm like, sorry, Spencer. So I immediately leak it. And then you pop into the room right after. So I was like, my work here is done. So I was out of there. I clicked X so fast. So
that you leaving that room, I do want to say you leaving that room is what saved you from getting dragged. Because
I was like immediately out of there.
Because I saw that you were in the room. Like, I knew what had happened. I knew it was either you or Nathan. And like, I can say that my biggest regret in the game was being like associating what happened in my game getting turned upside down with Nathan rather than you, who it actually was. And I should have known that it was you based on how quickly you left and how Nathan was convinced. Nathan was just like sitting there eating his popcorn. But then I was like, I was like, okay, this is what happened. I don't blame Justine. I don't blame James. Nathan was there though. Like,
yeah, and
that guy,
I
he had something to do with it.
told you that it was me, so that's why I was freaking out. And then when it kind of sealed your fate for me, when it tied and I was in a room with James, and James was like, I'll drag you if you vote me. And I was like, can't do James. I just got to keep my fingers crossed that either James gets majority of the votes and I don't vote for him, or if Spencer does get the majority votes and I vote him, that I don't get dragged. So it was extremely awkward because when we were in that room right before you got out with me, Dylan, Spencer, or you and Nathan, we did all say, let's do James. I was like, I'm not doing James.
I did the same thing. I said, he will drag me. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that.
Then when it was
apparently James in the chat said that he was dragging me, which was kind of ironic because I was like pushing really hard.
he like had this eternal feud with you the whole time because you were pushing his name so hard, and he knew it.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I never even really saw him. I just kept like running away while I was like pushing him.
So when the votes got revealed that like who voted Spencer, I was kind of like, thank God that it was also Dylan and Nathan. We were all in the same room. I was like, oh my God, I have a chance. But then Spencer started talking about his reasoning to drag someone, and I literally put my hands on my table. I'm like, it's over. And then you said Nathan's name, and I like almost shit my pants right there.
Yeah, and then as soon as you two
I knew it was my fault, but I didn't know if you knew that yet.
And then as soon as you two left, AJ and I freaked. Like, we were both
wasn't the vote like really close? It was like 6-5.
Yeah, I wish we could see.
It was 6-3. I think the only people who
never mind.
No, it was 6-5.
Okay.
So for this round, I really thought I was.
Wait, Chris, you didn't vote for me, right?
No, I didn't. So this round, I really thought I was gonna go just because Ryan was saying my name, like the round.
Well, no,
before.
on the revote.
I didn't know. So what I did this round was I told Justine, because I heard Justine say my name. I think to you, Spencer. I told Justine I wasn't gonna go regardless. I had an LOS, so I didn't have an LOS. I was hoping to cause a little bit of confusion to split the votes just in case. and then I threw my vote on Dylan, just in case of a tie. Because I heard Ryan's name, I heard Spencer's name. I was hoping that a tie would somehow fall between Spencer, Dylan, and Ryan.
So
yeah.
So you want to hear something funny that might throw like a whole wrench in the gears of everything? I didn't vote for James in the initial vote.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Chris. And the reason for that was because in that room that I was in, everybody was like, okay, well, like Chris was saying this, Chris was saying that, so let's vote for Chris.
I think I was in that room with you.
No, that was just Nathan, Justine, James, and I in that room.
For some reason, I have Chris. Like I was pushing Chris, so I heard it from one of you four, and was pushing it the whole time.
As soon as I told Justine I had an LOS, she completely backed up from the plan. I said, Justine, vote Ryan, and I told Ryan, I'm gunning for you. We had that little altercation in the room.
Right. But then I was like, we should vote for James. Yeah, I was like, we should vote for James. Yeah. So because I was like backpedaling.
I'd be very curious.
I was pushing you, Ryan, because I was hoping that the tie would fall between you and Spencer, and I knew neither of you would drag me that round since you and me kind of like made up, and Spencer and me had a final 3.
I was concerned I was getting jagged, Spencer. Like I thought you felt like I stabbed you in the back. So I was panicking because I'm like, I didn't realize who you were in a room with. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's going to drag me. He's going to be pissed off because he thinks that I'm loyal to him and I have to vote him out. So I was shitting myself in that room waiting to hear you dragged.
The way that I saw it wasn't that like I want to drag somebody who I feel like super betrayed me. I was like, let's take somebody out whose fault it is that I have left. You know, it wasn't like, oh,
I appreciate it.
It wasn't like Katie stabbed me in the back. It was like Katie made a game move. Like Katie had to make a judgment call here. Like, does she want to risk getting dragged, or like? Because as soon as I heard the vote count, I was like, okay, Katie's on there. Like that makes sense. I expected that. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
Do we know the vote? Do we know the vote count for this round?
It would have been 6-5 in
before the tiebreaker. I mean.
I voted Spencer.
My guess is like
I
voted Spencer.
I voted James.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting, Spencer. When you went out and you started to say that you knew exactly what had happened, I don't think anybody watching, anybody's mind went to that you were dragging Nathan. I don't think anybody expected that until you said it. I thought because of that, we were going to lose, someone else.
Yeah.
So
me because I was the one that
I will. Yeah, so I'll stand by my statement in that I knew exactly what happened. I just dragged the wrong person still. I knew that it was like Nathan. I knew that Nathan and AJ went into that room and one of them told it. So I was like, I can't drag both of them. So I've got to just like flip a coin and see who goes out. Or like just, look at my screen and see it. And I think, to be perfectly honest, it come down to the fact that like, I do know AJ from outside of the game, and if I was wrong about that, like I would feel less bad about being wrong about dragging Nathan than I would about being wrong about dragging AJ. So yeah, AJ made two good calls that game.
Well, my whole strategy
of being friends with me and leaving that room quickly.
I apologized afterwards, but my whole strategy going in had shifted because my name was thrown out so early, especially in like those first few rounds. And I was like, well, crap, how am I gonna get this? I know, and you admitted it too. But because I looked back and that first round when Travis went, 2 rooms threw my name out. So I was freaking out the whole time.
And I was literally the one who just like destroyed that like from happening. My room.
That's true.
Like, wow. Yeah, Katie, Travis, Vinny, and Justine were all like, let's vote for AJ. Let's vote for AJ. In my head, I'm like, I'm not doing that. No. So I was like, the first person I hear when I go to the next room, I'm gonna like push for that name. And I jump into a room and they're like, yeah, we were thinking Travis. I was like,
you jumped into my room. Yeah, we were like,
yeah, I jumped into your room. And I was like, yeah, my room said AJ. I don't really feel that. They're like, who were you guys thinking? And you guys were like Travis. I was like, okay, I guess it's Travis then.
I think that's why Vinny and Justine and I formed a tighter bond in the end, because we hadn't like, gone against it. And there was rumors of like, oh yeah, Spencer's been throwing out other names, and I hadn't heard that from the other 2 of them. And I think that like solidified those 3 in the starting room.
And that's
Mhm.
why I played more of a throwing under the bus game, because I threw Spencer and Ryan both under the bus at one point. Immediately after they told me something, they're like, I kind of want this person out. And then as soon as I found them, I told them that, because I was the whole rest of the game, I was playing super selfishly. I would just throw people under the bus, make sure it wasn't me. And that's kind of the reason why you got out, Spencer. So I mean, I kind of feel bad, but I kind of don't, because at one point, you know, I knew we were going to have to go after each other at some point because we both know the games that we play.
Right.
So that's why it happened. But
yeah, and no hard feelings. I kind of was just like, you know, it's whatever. I was expecting to be, to be honest, like, this is my first ever mini, and I was like super happy to play it in the first place. And, you know, kind of just from seeing how past minis go, I was very concerned about being an early target, because I'm like a unicorn in the community, so to speak, of like a straight cisgendered white male. And I was just like, well, and just from how everybody speaks of like, yeah, and just from how like people speak of like, oh, I want you know, I want women to get further, I want people of color to get further. I was like, not that I don't, I just don't want that to affect how I play, and or affect how far I get in the game. So I was surprised to get that far, and I was like, okay, you know, I played well and I had a great time doing it. So like, no hard feelings towards anybody who wrote my name down.
Will you play again?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
See
I don't remember the last time I had a rush like that.
Oh God.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
We'll see you again soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye, Spencer.
All right, so that brings us to History Can't Repeat Itself, which resulted in Ryan's elimination. So let's talk a little bit about how we got there and who the initial targets were.
So Nathan getting dragged screwed me hard, because
That's who we wanted.
Because Katie was like, yeah, let's do like
Hey, everyone.
like Nate, like. And then he got dragged. And I'm like, crap. And then what happened because of that, like, is because like Katie and I were doing these like secondary targets, but then that round, like, I had no secondary targets. I only had Emilie, and I'm just like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And then I was just trying to push for it, and I didn't really do my room changes like really quickly. So like, yeah, I was not feeling great.
So this round,
was the round. Oh, go for it.
I rewatched the commentary. And AJ and I started in this round together because we were in with Spencer and Nathan, and we were both like, we looked at each other, we did our little like happy dance, and like, holy crap, we made it through that. And then we were both like, I think we're both fine here. I said, I think enough people have voted for me. I think people have voted for you. I don't think either of us are the target. Let's go around and see what other people are saying. And like the people on the commentary were like, why'd they not throw out a name? Because I wasn't the target, and I didn't want to I didn't want to up my target level, because I knew
I was still in survival mode at that point. I was just like, I'm not going to say name because it's going to bite me in the ass. Because I knew the tether round was coming next, and I knew a bounty round was eventually going to come up because I've seen previous minis. So I was like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just, you know, try and build bonds with people and, you know, go from there.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is the round where I felt like I had to make my stand, because
me too.
It was a group of 9, and it was Katie, Emilie, and I were tight 3. And then I looked at the sheets. I'm like, dang, I also have something with AJ, Dylan, and Ryan. James is the only one who I wasn't able to get a super tight bond with, sadly. So I'm like, either I go with that 4 or the Emilie, Katie, and then bring in Justine and Chris side, which for me just like made a lot more sense. And because of that, James, AJ, and Dylan, you'd all, like you said, been mentioned at some point in some area. So it really was like Ryan, from my perspective, you were the only person I could see go home right here.
I remember, and that was my thing is I knew I was a target here because I hadn't really heard my name circulating at all, and I knew I was a social player, and I knew that coming into this game, this is the round I was the most scared of, just because I figured I could get to this round without getting my name up. And this was the point where I was in a room, and I don't even remember who I was with, but I immediately was like, have you voted for Ryan? Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, Ryan. And I would jump around from room to room. Who's voted for Ryan? You haven't voted for Ryan? Fine. Throw away your vote. We're voting for Ryan. He's going this round.
Right.
Just because at that point, I'd voted for most of you. I hadn't voted for Vinny, and I hadn't voted for Emilie, and I wasn't going to vote for them, but I'd voted for Chris. I'd voted for AJ. I voted for James. I had voted for a lot of people left. So Ryan, you were kind of the sacrificial lamb there. Like I didn't have any other choices.
Well, the funny thing was like, yeah, I was supposed to target you, but I actually didn't. I was trying to like be your like second or third person, like by like trying to knock off Emilie, and then like I just didn't realize like Emilie was like really that connected. Like I had no idea, and like I had like I think both Katie and AJ like. I think you two are the ones like I did not see either of you guys coming like at all.
I think this is when we all started to see Katie's game really flourish because we all knew in the back of our minds, in my opinion, that Katie's name had not been thrown out. So even in this round where you can't vote for someone you've already voted for, Katie's name was still not on the table. I never heard it at all. So I think this is where we saw Katie's game really flourish.
Yeah. So this round, I like knew I was 100% safe. I was like, these people all voted for me, or used LOS myself. So then so in my mind, I was like, should I gun for Katie this round? Katie pops into a room with me, and then she's like, Chris, I haven't voted for you. Let's be together. And then that's when, Katie, you and I.
That was a lie.
I know. But I thought at that point, that's when you and I kind of like got back on the same page because we hadn't talked for a while throughout the game. So I felt like that was a big turning point for me to keep going. I was able to overcome my lag. It turned out to be the camera. I was using this camera, by the way. And, yeah. So if I would have used my webcam, it would have been good. I literally could hear everything everybody was saying. I could see the LOSs. I was talking. I guess. God, it's so cringy watching some of that back. But
Chris, this sounded super funny because we started in the room together, and I believe we had Spencer in our room. Or no, I think it was just us.
This is when we lost Spencer.
Yeah, I started. I think I started saying something along the lines of, "Chris, I have some really bad news for you. I can vote for you because a lot of people had voted for you to like try to align there." And I'm like, okay, we gotta go Ryan. And Katie comes in. Have you voted Ryan? Have you voted Ryan? Have you voted for Ryan? And it's just like, Katie, this is beautiful.
I knew from here on out I was good for a while as long as Vinny, as long as you stay loyal to me. I thought I had a good chance. I knew Justine was never coming after me. I felt good about Katie, even though apparently she had come after me before this round. And that's when you and me like solidified our final 2 Stoner Alliance.
100%.
Yeah. It was a fun.
Did anyone vote for Emilie? Or was it like totally unanimous? Did anyone even vote for Emilie, or is it just me?
I don't think I did.
I did.
I think it was pretty unanimous. Oh, Dylan voted for
I pushed Ryan, and I think I told like Katie and Vinny at one point. I was in a room with you guys, like, I've not voted for Ryan. I'm good to go. Like, I can vote for Ryan. And then I got in a room with Ryan, and I was like, oh, let me check and make sure I can actually vote for him. And I had voted for him in the round that Lore went home. And I was like, shit. So I went into a room with Ryan. I was like, Ryan, I can't vote for you. Good luck.
That's so funny.
Yeah, this round also, Vinny, this is when I figured out that you and Emilie were really close. I just didn't see how close you and Katie were. Yeah. Because when I was talking to you, we were going over what we hadn't voted for. And I said, let's go for Emilie. Because I had her in the back of my mind for a while already. And you were like, oh, I really like her. And in Sequester, I feel like really liking somebody a lot. So I was like, all right, Emilie has to go within the next few rounds.
Yeah. No, like Vinny was a missing piece, like because like I couldn't piece it together, and it was like kind of hard because we had like that Columbus alliance at the beginning, but then like I never saw Nathan like at all, like and then I would barely see you, so I'm just like I don't know where Vinny's at, but then like I have no idea where he was.
Yeah. And I knew if Vinny was gonna stay loyal to me, I needed Emilie to go. Like,
yeah.
I also think Chris, part of the reason Emilie didn't go is because when I would hear her name pitched, I lied and said I've already thrown a vote on her. And I said, oh, I can't vote for Emilie. I've already thrown a vote on her. We have to vote for Ryan. I can't vote for Emilie. And that was my excuse to why Emilie couldn't go that round. And I think that helped gain some traction because, you know, here's a vote and everyone can vote for Ryan, but some people can't vote for Emilie.
The thing with Ryan was I was okay with it because he had said my name 2 rounds prior. So I was like, I had a list. It was Emilie and Ryan. I was like, all right, Emilie and Ryan can go this round.
I mean, I was kind of a little too gung-ho where like my strategy was like I was actually going to target all the floaters. And then like I don't say that in a negative sense because I feel like I play kind of floater game because I want to be kind of like the lone floater. Like and I felt like there were certain people that were like crossing my lane and I wanted to like take them out. And then like I realized like I felt like Emilie and we were kind of like converging. And I was like, oh, like I want to get rid of her so I can kind of like be with Katie.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
I think this is. Oh,
go ahead. Katie. No, you won. No, you won. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I think this is also the round that I got my LOS. Like this was during this round is when I got that, which I didn't need to like actually use, but this was the round that one was formed. And then I went into a room by myself and I was like, fuck yes, bitches. I just got an LOS. And then I bopped into the room and continued my Ryan campaign.
Yeah, for me, it was like kind of okay doing Ryan, even though I didn't know what the future was going to be because I wasn't in any like set alliances or anything like that. But I had thrown Ryan under the bus like twice, and I didn't know if he knew that at that point. So I was just like, oh,
no, which was like crazy because I was like batting for you like so hard, like in the beginning, like in the first round, and even like. Were you like one of the 4 like nominees in one of the rounds?
Yeah, the round robin went home.
Yeah, and I was like, I am not voting for AJ, like flat out.
I was really nervous for the round afterwards that Robin got out because obviously Andrew and Luke were mentioned a ton, but I was never mentioned, at least from my perspective.
Right.
And that made me really nervous. Someone's like, oh, AJ's name wasn't mentioned last round. He's playing really well. Then we should go from the next round. But luckily that didn't happen. So
I was shocked that my name didn't come up in the now and later rounds either because I was up from the Tether and thought I was going home in the Tether. So I was like, what? When no one said, like, I mean, Andrew threw out my name there and I was like going around and I got into a room with like, I think it was Vinny and James and someone else. And I was like, guys, I need you to save me. Please vote for Andrew. I don't have a vote. Yeah. Andrew's throwing my name out. And James looked at me and goes, what? I've not heard your name once.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah.
And then one of my friends
I love all this, y'all, but we cannot go backwards.
That's okay.
We have a mini starting in 2 hours.
Okay. I'll head out.
This is the hard part about the fact that we have to stagger the guests is that we do have the situation where I do want to hear Dylan talk more about the past round, but unfortunately we do have to move forward. Do we have any last insights on this round before we have to say goodbye to Ryan? Ryan, did you have any last thoughts about the gameplay or about your gameplay?
Like I definitely enjoyed it. It was my first time playing. I was super scared. So some of you guys did not know, I actually had internet problems at the beginning. So I actually did not see half of your videos. So like the first couple of rounds, like it was just like pure mayhem. I just felt like I was scrambling. And then the original room I got like annihilated by the tether twist because almost my entire room got in that tether. So that's why I was like
the Travis effect.
Yeah. And so I felt like I was always kind of like in this weird scrambling. I didn't feel like I was in danger, but I felt like I was in this weird scrambling mode. I think like in retrospect, I should have pushed harder for like final 2, final 3 deals. I was like too busy focused on like pushing 2 rounds. So
no, it does feel like weeks.
Yeah, it does.
Ryan, you don't have any social media for us to promote, is that right?
Yeah, not really. I mean, you can like interact with me on Facebook, like in the Sequester community, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really enjoyed you. You're going to be playing again soon?
I don't know. I think this was pretty draining. I'm not gonna lie. So, but maybe
it is.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, we'd like to see you back. But thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye, Ryan. See you later.
Peace, Ryan.
Okay. So then we have the next round, which is a tethering round, which is a different tethering round than our second round because here you have to vote together.
I'm excited
and this was a hard one.
The word tether is triggering. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Does my mic work, by the way, or no?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay, I was trying to like speak back, and I was like, wait, I don't want to cut anybody off, but I don't know. Okay, sorry.
We can hear you, James. Beautiful.
Okay, cool. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So this round, I was hearing Chris and Emilie the whole time, like back and forth, Chris and Emilie.
Yeah.
My tether was Emilie, and the original room I was in, we said Emilie.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm good. I think I told James at one point, I was like, I'm going to vote for Emilie because there is no way she votes for herself and her vote will not count.
Yeah.
And so I voted Emilie this round, and I didn't even hear James's name. So who?
I voted.
Yeah, it was our start.
What happened?
It was our start.
Yeah, I was pushing
AJ,
super hard
I
for
love hearing what you're gonna say about this.
Yeah, AJ, you screwed me over this round.
So here's what happened. So by the time the last round had ended, I think I had just walked in after Vinny Emilie, and Katie had secured their final 3. So I walked in, I was like, oh, I love this group, final 4. And little did I know that I was the 4th in that 4. So when the next round had started, I was like, okay, who's tethered with who? And I think Vinny and Katie were together. And Katie was like, I'm doing James. Vinny, let's do James.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm with Chris. So I mean, kind of random. Chris and I never really interacted that much. So I was like, I guess I'll try and convince Chris to do it. But Chris, I think you wanted Emilie out that round.
Well, okay.
Yeah, because Chris and I were in that room together that said Emilie.
Well, it was super interesting, at least from my perspective, AJ. I'm not sure how much you can talk about this or if you remember. So there was a plan. We're like, all right, we're going to go for James. And then immediately we're the only 2 to stay in it. And I think a couple of guys come in and immediately AJ is the first person to talk in. He goes, hey, guys, I've heard Emilie. I'm sitting there just like, boy, you've heard Emilie? So
I voted for James that round.
Oh,
because,
interesting. But
at the end of that round, I was like, Chris, we got to do James.
Yeah,
so our votes didn't count.
So AJ, that's why I played my LOS for Emilie this round, though. So because after that point, I hadn't heard any more movement for James. I hear you just go immediately, guys, I'm hearing Emilie after being in a room with me only where Emilie's name has not come up.
I was more just like throwing out names to make sure it wasn't 100%. Me at that point.
No, for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, and you for sure should have.
I think at that point I said, no one said Emilie this whole game.
Yep.
So we need to take her out now because if she gets to the end, she can make a case for this.
And I needed her. I needed that shield. So I'm like, Emilie can't go, and I don't think I'll need this LOS.
I don't think you even needed it.
When you guys made that final 4, I was backstage. I overheard that final 4. So it was Vinny, Katie, Emilie, and AJ. But for some reason in my mind, because I really trusted Vinny and Katie, I thought you guys were just agreeing to final 4, Emilie and AJ, which is why later on I started pushing Emilie and AJ as a final 2.
Which it was so frustrating at the afterwards because I was like, Chris could not have been more wrong about that.
Yeah,
but at that point, it was just like your perspective.
AJ is literally, I walked in and you're like, yes, final 4, us 4. And I was
That's
like,
true.
Right.
And I think we just all kind of agreed to it because we're like, yeah, keep the 3 of us safe because we're at final 3. So if you want to be 4, that's cool.
That. Yeah.
Wasn't Emilie tethered with Dylan? Right? No, because I remember I was playing dumb that round, honestly, because I was trying to push for Chris because I was like, oh, maybe if like me, Justine, Dylan, Emilie just do that, all work together. But then last round I tried to vote for her, so I was like, why would she want to work with me anyways? So that was like definitely
James.
Yeah, I told Emilie that Chris was pushing her name that round, like completely acting like I had no clue because I 100% thought she was going to go that round. And so I told her that Chris was pushing her name, and she said, well, that must mean they're talking about me in the other room. And I said, go find him, girl. Go get him.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be me just because, like, I don't know. I feel like I was kind of like a cat with, like, was it 9 lives, 7 lives?
Yes, they have 9 lives.
Yeah, 9 lives. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I came in. Sorry,
this was the round that me and Emilie were kind of like, yes, remember when he said he was going to drag us? That was stupid. It's time for him to go.
Yeah,
and that was just our
I
justification.
wrote that down, that the girls wanted James at final 8.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think when it came to that, I'll speak like just really shortly about that. I think the thing was out of that room, like Katie, Emilie, and then AJ, I did not talk, I think, really any game with you guys at all, maybe like a few votes. And so I was like, okay, I know the other people at least like maybe think about voting to save me. So I was like, I'm just going to make a calculated risk and see if it pays off. I think it did pay off for that round. In the long
worked
term,
in that moment,
in the long term, it definitely didn't. But
I think me voting against Spencer and like taking that risk also formed a bond for you with me where you trusted me a little bit more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at that point, that formed a bit of a game relationship with us because I was willing to, go for the risking of the drag by voting for Spencer rather than you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, at least for me, I don't think it created maybe like a strong bond, but I think it was more so a bond that like, I was like, at least I can come to Katie with some logic and she'll kind of hear me out. So that was definitely very nice.
So what were the votes then? It was Vinny, Katie.
I voted for James.
Yeah.
Okay. But AJ,
I voted Chris. So.
Yeah. But, so our votes didn't count that round unless we voted together.
Did you vote Emilie, Chris?
I voted Emilie.
Oh, then our vote didn't count.
Yeah.
So James literally went out on one vote.
On Vinny and Katie.
On me and Vinny. Sorry, James.
That is actually insane. I was expecting it's crazy because the times that I'm supposed to leave, I'm actually safe. And the time I guess it's like one vote, I leave, it's so, that's so
James,
crazy.
who was your tether? Was your tether Justine?
Yeah, that was my tether.
I think
Which
that was
kind
the
of-
round where I kind of gave the game in a way to Katie, Vinny, and Emilie because Emilie didn't go that round, and then since the next round was the bounty round, that obviously how that turned out, that anyone that wasn't Katie, Vinny, or Emilie turned on each other, and that's kind of when they were just like, hey, we don't have to do anything; they'll just get rid of themselves.
It's so funny, AJ, because I was like thinking last night about my game as a whole, and I'm like, I just played like a pretty boring strategy game because I didn't like nothing came up that I needed to like really change like the tide. It'd be like, oh man, I really want so and so, and then like 3 people come in the room. Hey, what do you think? Like, do you want this person? I'm like, I mean, already, yeah, like sign me up. And I didn't get to play like this fun under the bottom game like you're talking about, and even like later, I didn't need to push a ton after like first initial post. And whoever mentioned the speed of the game, I saw something about that, and it's so true. Like the game goes by really quick, even quicker than what I've watched. Where getting that second and third and fourth name is really difficult. Where you do have a lot of room to maneuver about throwing the name out.
I made that comment like way early in the chat. Like before it started, I was like, it was like we would get one plan, and like I said, out of the 14 rounds I was in, I think I said, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like 12 times because the round was over so fast.
Yeah,
like
it's
we looked at each other like 3 rounds in a row, and we're like, what? Like, why is it over already?
No, I mean, I don't know. I think when it came to just like this round in general, it was kind of weird because whenever I got like eliminated, I didn't think I was blindsided, but I was like, wait, I'm actually out. Like that doesn't make sense. And I mean, I don't know. You guys just played like honestly, like to be honest, like Katie, you were fucking amazing. Oh, I can't curse. I'm sorry. But
Oh, is that a rule?
Oh, I don't know. Is it a rule? I don't even know.
Shit.
But
Curse all you want. Curse away.
Oh, okay. No, but one thing I would say though is that had I stayed, I was gonna so freaking throw Vinny under the bus because I was like, oh my gosh, remember this guy early on being like, hey James, you good with this, you good with that, like really being like, kind of like that leadership role, and people kind of like follow that. They're like, hell yeah, I'm good with that, let's do it. And I was just gonna be like, this guy is absolutely like insane. He is like, I don't know, it's crazy, but.
James, I felt bad because, well, not bad, but it was funny because I was looking at who I could vote out in the round where you could not vote for someone you've already voted for. I was like, oh man, I can vote for everyone except James.
I mean, I think that was like half the cast at that point. So.
Well, I had Ryan and AJ, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And AJ was just a hinky vote, so I was like.
So that resulted in James's elimination. Overall, what was your overall experience like, James? How was it playing the game for the first time?
I think it was I kind of did stuff like this back when I was younger. And it was like, it was something that I was like really good at. And I feel like I'm a very like social, like intelligence kind of guy. But that's more in person to person. Sequester is different. You have to kind of do it through a camera. And I think that, I can maybe have like really good social skills with someone if I meet them. But when it comes to like all these like live cameras, live streams and stuff, it's just all about kind of like impressions and everything that you get. So, I mean, it was very fun. I was a new fan. I didn't really know anything about like this. And I think, look at the comments and looking how I played. I don't know if I'm necessarily proud. I am proud of how far I got. I think I should probably definitely just look more into Sequester, look at podcasts and stuff like this one, and just watch more seasons. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we always say the first time is never the real representation. Well, I mean, I guess unless you're Katie, but she breaks that rule. But for most people, it's not the true representation. I feel like when you come back the second time, you play, as the player you want to be, and you fully embrace it. So
I disagree.
Definitely play again.
I disagree.
You do? Tell me more.
I'm being a jerk.
I figured. So James, you think you'll definitely play again?
I think I definitely will. It'll probably not be until a long time. I think I need to kind of just submerge myself into Sequester a little bit more, learn more about it, and just kind of, it'll definitely happen again. I just don't know when. It was really mentally exhausting, especially with time difference, the wine and stuff. I think after it was all over with, I was still up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like,
I forgot about that. You're in the UK. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
That is more difficult.
It was just, it was I definitely will, and I look forward to seeing, maybe when it's at War 2, you guys in the future play, because I honestly, this cast was as a whole so amazing, and
good.
it was so crazy. And I remember seeing everybody's videos. I was like, okay, these people have like so much bigger and better personalities. Like, how am I gonna get rid of them? But at the end of the day, I did try my best, and that's all I can ask for.
That's all that matters. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye,
See
James.
ya. All right, so that brought us to the next round, which was the return of the bounty round. I said on the live stream that, we haven't had this in a while, and was immediately corrected that we had it the night previous. But I will say that it doesn't count because it was a private mini, so it's not part of the meta. It's not part of but yes, it was done the night before, and then it came back for its official re-debut in this. So this resulted in.
I was just going to say, I think that we just need to go ahead and say that private minis are not canon, and that will be the easiest way to distinguish. Like, public minis canon, private minis not canon, more like, head canon.
Agreed. I feel like it's a separate entity that maybe I hope one day converges with this side, but I think we'll keep it separate. But this was the round that resulted in Dylan's elimination. So let's get into that one.
So this round, for me at least, as soon as it was announced that it was the bounty round, I knew in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna get Katie, and it's gonna be impossible to do, and it's gonna be extremely frustrating. And then I get a message, your bounty's Katie, and I was like, oh my god, because at that point I knew that Katie was gonna make it really far, and I knew my days were numbered. But I was like, if I throw out Katie, I'm gonna get out now. So I was like, Katie, I have you. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
that
well,
my perspective.
And I had AJ, I had you as my bounty, and the thing is, I had my LOS, so I was like, let's see. I don't really need safety at 6 because I can play my LOS. And then Emilie's bounty is Dylan, and I'm like, if I could get Emily's safety this round, that could be really helpful. So that's where we decided, okay, Dylan's going to be who goes, just because that's going to get Emilie safe. And if I can get past this round and get Emily's safety and have my LOS and get both of us to 5, that was huge for me. So that's why the target started running at Dylan, and then Vinny popped out of the room. And I think that's right when you popped in, Dylan, and you're like, Vinny, we're going to go for Vinny. And me and Emilie are like, yeah, we'll go for Vinny. That sounds great. But I don't know if I think the two of us felt nervous there because we didn't really know which way we were voting. Because both of us, I think in our head, were like, we want to keep Vinny safe, but we don't know if the other person's going to. But then, we ended up both voting out you because we have that loyalty to Vinny. And when you came in throwing his name and you were Emily's bounty, it was just kind of like, well, Vinny's not going, and this'll 2 for 1.
Here's my question. Had I thrown out someone like AJ or Chris, well, Chris was in there, but had I thrown out AJ, would I have stayed that round and you guys would have voted AJ?
We were talking in the other room about you, Dill. My vote also went to you, so I'm not sure if there have been enough because.
Well, we had 4 in that room, so if we all, because Chris, did you vote me as well, or did you vote Vinny?
I did. I voted Dylan. So for me this round, I had Justine as my bounty. I thought about maybe I was like, should I push Justine? Because somebody had said her name, and I was like, I don't really feel comfortable voting Justine. I knew I needed her in the final 4. She was super loyal to me throughout the whole entire game. So I just Katie said Dylan. Dylan, I didn't want to let you go, but at this point, I was like, I haven't spoken to you since
Yeah, that's what I said to someone else. We were like, we started together, and I've not spoken to him since.
And I didn't mind Katie having safety at the final 6 because I felt good with Katie. So I went with Katie's vote.
The only reason I threw you out, Vinny, because it was exactly what I said earlier. Emilie came at you like, you need to stop being so charismatic. I was like, this man will win this game if he gets to the final 2 against anyone but Katie.
Dylan. So Emilie had you as a bounty, right, Dylan?
Yep, and I had Emilie.
Katie, I thought you had Dylan, which is the only reason I voted because I was trying to get Emilie out.
No, I had AJ as my bounty, but I wanted Dylan to go to get Emilie that safety because I had my LOS and I knew I had safety the next round, so AJ didn't need to go.
Dude, you're so good at this. I really thought you had. I literally was like, I'm gonna give Katie final 6 this round. We can get Emilie out at final 5.
Yeah,
I mean final 6.
My thought was, I saw Vinny as the big threat, and I didn't want to take the women out. I was like, I don't, because I came in and I think I said, Emilie, I've got you as my bounty. I'm not going for you. Yeah. And she said, well, I've got you. And I said, okay, let's just not go for each other and go for someone else. It's like, because if we go for each other, or if we save each other now, we've got 3, we can stay together or something like that. And I'm like, whatever. And then apparently I went out. I either went out 6-1 or 5-2 because I don't know who Justine voted for.
I don't know who voted you, Dylan.
Yeah. So I went out 6-1 and had no freaking clue my name was out there.
I know, you were so blindsided. I felt so bad. Your face when it happened, I was like, oh, he didn't see this coming at all.
But you know what? I respect it though, because if you guys, all 7 of you or all 6 of you could go a whole round throwing my name around and me not hear about it one time. I think I even did a confessional that round and said, I may make it to final 6 after being targeted since round 2. And then hopped into another room. And like, that's when I hopped in with you guys. And
threw out Vinny.
Yeah, and apparently that was the wrong move. But I was going either way.
Yeah.
No, and that's how I felt when I got it, when you got out that round. Because I was like, I made it to final 6 and I was the other name other than Travis round 1. So I was just, at that point, I was like, if it's not me, I don't care. And I felt bad because when Spencer and Nathan got out, immediately you were like final 2, and I was like, oh sure. But then when I realized that I didn't even know who else you were gonna vote for the round you went, because I don't think we ever were in the same room together.
No, we didn't get in the same room together.
So I was just like, I only heard Dylan. I guess I have to do Dylan.
And that was really unlucky for you, Dylan, because this was by far my most frustrating round, where every time I was the room limit, and I was just like, this is a bummer. I kept getting solo and like being an idiot in 1-on-1s. But then in my room, I really only got to talk to AJ and Justine. So I didn't even know you were pushing my name, but I was fortunate.
It was literally like the last 30 seconds of the round. I said, we have 4 votes here. Let's lock someone in. And all 3 of them looked at me and went,
And it was good. It was a good move on Vinny's part when he got into a room with Justine and I, because he was like, hey, I've only heard Dylan. Let's do Dylan. And then next round, we'll just push Chris because Chris played an LOS correctly and he's going to be a threat to win. For me, I was like, okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, I respect it because like,
for sure.
Like I'm not the kind of person who's like, who did this? Who did this? And when Katie said it was her, I was like in the jury questioning, I was like, what? We did what? And
I'll take the knife back out of your back. I'm really sorry. Didn't mean to leave it there.
I don't care. I am such a fan of Sequester. Like, paid $30 for the shirt. Hell yeah, I'm a fan of Sequester. And this is like, it was so much fun. Like I pushed so hard to get Emilie out for like 3 rounds before that, and she didn't go. Katie, I never heard your name. Like Emilie or AJ, Chris and I were targets the whole time and made it to final 7. Like, it was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Dylan, before we send you off, I must know there was demand to know more about your cat before you go.
Hey, come here. Hold on, let me grab him.
Yes.
Okay. We love pets on Podquester Mini. It's there's one thing we love more than general. Yeah.
There he is. Oh, he's not happy. He was playing when I picked him up.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys saw. He randomly like jumped on my shoulders in the middle of a round last night, and I was like
I was
scared the crap out of me, and I was like, "You gotta go. You can't do this right now." He's been very needy though, because I didn't give him like any attention last night or today, so he's been like all up on me. But his name is Kit.
Okay.
He was. His name was
petitioning
Kit.
We're petitioning for a private mini for just the pets of Sequester.
Yeah, he wouldn't sit still long enough to do that.
He'd be a target. Kit would be a target.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for what are your final thoughts, Dylan? We love to see. As soon as we heard about the the connection with Draft Sequester, we were rooting for you. How was it like to be in the game rather than watching it?
Oh my god, it was so fun. I prepped so hard for this game. I was like all day yesterday and on Thursday, I was messaging Renee like, here's what I'm gonna do in this round. Here's what I'm gonna do in this round.
Love that.
And getting in the game, like strategy goes out the window, but like I felt like I played hard. And I think that playing in a game with people like Emilie and Katie and Vinny, people were following them, so they didn't see my game as much because I didn't run into them as much, and except for like the very early rounds. And so I was a lot of the time in the rooms with Justine and James and Ryan. And so like I was playing hard and pushing names in those rooms, but a lot of people weren't listening to those rooms. They were listening to Katie because Katie was driving every single vote.
I'm loud.
Hey, you know what? You got to be sometimes. And so, like, I feel like I played a hard game, just a hard behind the scenes because of who I was with type of game. I feel like if I had been in another mini with another cast, I would have been out pre-jury because I was playing hard. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get to play and to make it as far as I did. Like, my best friend was sitting I'm sitting in my living room by my Wi-Fi box tonight because, you know, horrible camera quality. But my best friend was sitting in my living room the whole time watching. And as soon as like Katie was announced, I walked out of my room and I was like, holy crap, I made it to 7th place after being targeted from round 2. So it was a blast, and I definitely will play again. There's no doubt in my mind at that.
It was a ton of fun to watch you. Thank you for coming on, and you're definitely welcome back anytime. We're waiting for you to play again.
Thanks, guys.
Can't wait to watch.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Dylan.
All right, so this brought us to the next round. And we went into this round with Emilie safe as her bounty was eliminated. And it resulted in AJ's elimination. So let's talk about this round and how it went.
Ooh, what up, girl?
I knew this round was going to be extremely awkward because they were like, no room limits. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And I think this was really bad because Chris was being targeted, and Chris pegged it on me. And as soon as my name came up, I was just like, people are just going to use that as an opportunity to get me out. So I knew that one was going to be my time.
So when Vinny popped into room 2, me and Emilie popped in shortly after, and the three of us go, okay, we're gonna vote AJ, but we're gonna say Chris, and then you pop in right as we're saying Chris.
Yeah.
And then
I was always between you three. Every time you guys said like your real plan, I would pop in maybe a second. I was a second too late each time, and it was to going back. I was like, oh, god damn it.
So this is what. So I think I heard you guys say Chris, and that's when I jumped in there. I was really upset that Emilie got saved because I really thought it was gonna be Katie in Final 6 who got safety. So I was like, "Fuck, dude! Like, all right, I need to push Emilie and AJ have a Final 2 because I overheard that Final 4." But everything my game, I was seeing from perspective of every time I go into a room, AJ is solidifying something with these 4 people. So I was like, all right, I need a gun for AJ so I can get Emilie out next round and have Katie, Vinny, and Justine with me in the Final 4. 4 people who actually kind of like me throughout the game. At least I felt weren't targeting me for my lag or stupid stuff like that. Yeah.
And it was extremely frustrating because I knew that Emilie, Katie, and Vinny, if I went out, those 3 were making Final 3, regardless if they had a Final 3 prior. And so when you were throwing my name, I'm like, Chris, you're wrong about this. And then I was telling Justine, I'm like, Justine, you can't vote for me because I told her immediately about Spencer throwing her under the bus. She's like, I thought Nathan did that. I'm like, that's what Spencer thought, but it was actually, I was just like, everything was turned against me that round.
Yeah.
But
that was going to be a really hard round for you to overcome.
Yeah, hindsight 2020. I feel like we should have AJ, me and Justine should have gotten together and gone for Katie, but I was so blinded by her.
By the time you threw,
I had my LOS that round though, so even if y'all went for me, AJ, I'm sorry, you were going either way.
I was thinking that when I went to bed last night because I was like, if I had, when Chris threw my name out, I maybe had like 30 seconds to throw at something else before the round ended. But if I had done anything, I'm like, Katie told us in the finale she had her LOS, so I was dead in the water no matter what.
Yeah,
which is super unfortunate. But I mean,
there's just nothing.
You got the LOS and I didn't, so But yeah, that round was, I don't know.
I think it was going to be tough regardless because me and Vinny and Katie were aligned for such a long time at that point. So like once we got to Final 6, it was like split and but at that point someone was safe and it was just like that was like the perfect time to have like a bounty.
And Emilie, it was never anything against you that I was going for you. For me, it was literally I wanted Vinny to be my other number 1, and I just knew that you guys were close. So I was like, I need to separate them now. I need to separate them now.
And I think it's too bad because I followed up on a lot of the stuff that was posted, and it was I wasn't necessarily targeting you for your internet quality. It was just very easy, and it was a target on somebody else. Otherwise, on top of that, whenever we tried to talk or I tried to talk to you, it just wasn't sticking. Or
it wasn't clicking at all. Yeah. And the thing was, I didn't want to have too many people out there that I was like, we're good. So I knew I was.
No, yeah.
We were at that point. We were in the Final 6.
Yeah.
I had Justine, Vinny, and I thought I had Katie with me. And then it was like AJ and you were the only people that I didn't really like ever solidify anything with.
And
So
I think this is where my strategy of, just focusing on me and playing really selfish backfired, because I had not gotten to that point where I was solidifying like end game alliances.
100%.
And that's where, my game faulted. I mean, it helped me out in the early rounds because my name almost, I almost went out round 1. So it worked up until that point, but then once I got to 6, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do after this.
And that's tough because like I know for me personally, like I constantly had a list of like alliance charts and stuff. And at final 9, I'm like, okay, final 5, the voting block we need is Emilie, Katie, Chris, Justine, and I. And then it was just like, AJ, there's hopefully you got that Lester yourself. There's not.
You drew the short straw there.
Yeah, I really did. It was a mix of like bad luck by going into rooms like a second too late and just me not making those end game alliances. But I mean, 6th place for a first time. I will.
Awesome, dude.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna come back and you're gonna kick ass.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
Without
It was really draining. So.
Katie, don't blow his spot up. Shh.
No,
Katie.
you tried to do that to me, Vinny, and look how well that worked out.
It worked out well for us.
We will get to that for sure. And it is, I mean, it's rare in Sequester in general to see alliances that really do stick that hard and to be up against it that late in the game. So it really was hard for you to go against, but you did a really good job, AJ. I was impressed. What were your?
I just want to say something. This is the round where Emilie was safe, and I was like, vote Emilie, vote Emilie. I was literally I was super high first of all, and I had Emilie. Literally, I had Emily's name on a big ass paper. I was like, Emilie, right? Emilie, and then I was like, all right, it has to be Emilie or AJ. These next 2 rounds. So they're like, you guys are like, Emilie safe. I'm like, I know. I mean, vote Emilie next round. I was talking to you. I was talking to Vinny and Justine. I was like, vote Emilie this next round. Vote AJ this round. And then I just kept stuttering to myself because I was just shouting.
Oh no! Yeah.
And Emilie, you're trying to fight with me, and then your mic was muted.
God, you have no idea. The whole time the fucking game, like I'm like, really now?
You were just like shouting at me, and your mic is off, and I was like, yes, like stay off, stay off.
I can just feel my extensions ripping out of my head. Like I was like, fucking. I don't know. I'm sorry. I keep swearing.
The end game of this game, I will say, is probably the most fantastic I've seen in just about.
I don't think onwards it was just like insane.
It was chaos. It was chaos. So we'll get into that now. But AJ, what were any final thoughts for us before?
I was nervous and excited to play Sequester because one of my best friends, Daniel Kennedy, is like really in the Sequester community and he's done really well. So all day on Friday when he was like preparing me, he's like, just so you know, you'll probably be targeted really early, and if you do, you're probably gonna be like dead in the water, but hopefully you'll be fine. And then for me to for that to happen and then surpass that and kind of be one of the only early targets to not be targeted later, I was really proud of that. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm really happy of how I played. Will I play again? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, you'll be back.
Yeah, I think working closely with you 3, even though you were in a really tight alliance, worked to my benefit because I had T for threat on all 3 of your names after your intro video. I'm like, I got to work closely with them because I know I'm not going to be the biggest threat in the room. But unfortunately, all the biggest threats work together. So, but it was really fun, and I appreciate you having me on the show, Louie.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing to note. I mean, we said it, early. I mean, mid-game, we were saying that we hope that the Lions stick together, right? Because there were definitely big characters, but we've seen that before, and we've seen them target each other. That by the time we get to the end, we're lucky to still have one there. And in this instance, we really did have you guys, work together. And I had, what I consider to be. And, AJ was great, but in terms of Final 5, I think it's the best Final 5 I've seen, if I've been honest. From
thank you.
Yeah, from top to bottom, it was all fantastic players who, I love to see urgency in the game. That's the way I play. I play as hard as I possibly can and as fast as I possibly can at all times. And all 5 of you were playing as hard as you possibly could. So it was a delight to watch. But yeah, let's get into the next round.
Yeah,
Majority rules.
I didn't get to say this, but that was absolutely one of the most iconic moments when Chris is yelling to vote Emilie, even though she's safe, and Emilie is muted. And
I In my head, I am yelling at her.
Another round, Emilie might have actually been in trouble because of her mic trouble. Because
I was shouting Emilie, but I was just trying to say vote Emilie next round to Vinny, because at this point I didn't care, because I knew that if Vinny was loyal to me and Justine was loyal to me, we had the votes regardless of what Katie did. So I was like, vote AJ this round, vote Emilie next round. It didn't matter what Katie didn't even have like a chance if Vinny was actually gonna be loyal to me.
Till I get that immunity.
Can you imagine?
I wasn't gonna vote for you, Katie. I wanted you at the final four. So.
But can you imagine your name being thrown out that much, getting muted, and having so much built-in anger that you have to come back on and be like,
it was so good.
And I'm sitting there, Susie, and I'm yelling because I'm like, I need AJ gone here. I need to be in the middle of this 5. Chris, no, Chris.
Oh no!
Like, I need this 5.
I mean, you were a really interesting linchpin. So, like, let's move to this next round where we had to navigate this kind of unique dynamic.
I think this round in the beginning of majority, I just in the majority rules portion, I think it shows how hard you all were playing. First, Vinny, you couldn't play because you had to go retrieve your pen after throwing it across the room, which I absolutely loved. And then, Katie, your computer basically flipped on its head that you were so excited. Emilie, you wiped out an entire headset throughout the game. Like, everybody was going so hard in this round. But it did end up with only Katie being safe. And then the first elimination. So let's talk about that. Yeah, how did we go about that?
Well, so I feel like these next 2 rounds a lot. I feel like I was a pretty big linchpin, and what got me the loss and how I lost it is misassessing Emilie as the biggest threat with myself behind her and Katie behind me. I saw Emilie being like, and again, this is a really tough thing about Sequester, where you only get to choose certain rooms to be in. And I saw a lot more of Emilie's game. I saw Emilie being a way bigger core of bringing us together. I started with Katie, and that's why we bonded. We were dancing in the first round and connected like very quickly there. But Emilie, I didn't talk to a ton, and somehow she got me immediately to connect like halfway through. And I was just super impressed by that. Got me to play an LOS on her. So for me, I'm like, I need Emilie here at 4. Emilie's going to go at 4. She was never going to drag me. And that's like, so for me, this entire round is tough because on paper, you're like, oh man, you should go with Chris, Justine, and Katie probably just in paper. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm getting picked off at 4 here. And I knew the 4 of myself, Justine, Emilie, and Katie, I wouldn't be dragged or voted for by any of them. So like, Chris was kind of the bummer vote there. But again, my incorrect assessment level is kind of what like warrants all my decisions from here on out.
Yeah, I will say that. Oh, I was just going to say that one thing that I've noticed about this mini is we saw it with Katie and we saw it with Justine, is that being a good talker at the end really, really matters. And both of those women withheld that talent until they needed to unleash it. And like, because I was like, I think I would want to sit next to Justine. I think that you can out talk her. But then when she started talking, I was like, oh shit, never mind, maybe. Like, and I think Katie did the same thing where like you could downplay her threat because you're like, well, she might have done some stuff, but I can maybe out talk Katie. But then when as we saw in final 2, girl can talk. So I will give you that, Vinny. I mean, I don't know if you could have sussed that. I don't know if you could have figured that out from her just watching her.
Well, this is the point where I think mine and Chris's relationship completely changed. Because I wasn't sold on getting rid of Chris right now. But then when I asked him, who would you drag at 4? And he said me. I was like, well, fuck no, you're not getting a 4 then. What a silly thing to say to me.
This is the thing. The reason I did that, I was so sad when you were the one who asked me that. But I had 2 legitimate final 2s with Vinny and Justine. Yeah. I wasn't going to say I'm going to drag either of them because then they weren't going to vote for Emilie this round with me, right?
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to happen, right? Emilie, you weren't safe this round, right?
Pardon me?
This is the round when you weren't safe anymore?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm voting you, Katie, because I just wanted to because I knew that Vinny and Justine were like numbers for me, but they didn't know about each other. So I was like, all right. So I was like, all right, I'm dragging you, Katie, so like that both Justine and Vinny could feel solid about voting with me at the final 5, and then I was just gonna code switch and figure out from the final 4. Honestly, yeah, I was definitely hoping to get to the final 2 with Justine.
And I feel like the talk about myself, Katie, and Emily had kind of gotten to its boiling point at Final 5, where we all kind of knew that. And for me, my biggest thing is I can't let Chris, like the only way I can see myself going home is seeing Chris and Justine at the Final 4 together, because they're voting as a block 100%, which is like, again, I think what led to you getting voted out, which was a bummer.
Yeah, well, and I think, Chris, from what I've gathered in watching these minis, when asked that question at 5, everybody always gives an answer as to who they'll drag, and it never works out for them. I don't think you should ever answer the question at 5. No. Like, my thought process, if anybody ever asks 100%. Me, is to just say, like, I'm not going to make a decision now because people change their mind. Because even if they do answer and get to 4, they'll change their mind in a heartbeat if they're threatened with a drag. So there's no point in ever answering the question, because either A, it's a straight up lie, or B, you're going to get targeted for it. So that's
the point. Well, Louis, like the only reason I answered the question was because in my mind, it didn't matter like if I said Katie, because if Vinny was really loyal to me and Justine was really loyal to me, they were both voting out Emilie with me. Yeah. So Justine 100% was voting out Emilie. So the only person that I was trying to flip at that point was Vinny. So me saying I wasn't going to drag him and I was going to drag Katie at the final 2, at the final 4, I thought it would give him an incentive to like take me to the final 4.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and if I had accurately gauged Katie, I'm voting Emily out there.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It makes no sense to go to the final 4 with Emily and Katie. You know what I mean? In my mind. But regardless, I feel like you could have been screwed through, but it would have been me and Justine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think watching from the outside, we realized that was Vinny's best move, but then also I think we were probably rooting against it because we wanted Katie to get there. So it was kind of like a catch-22 on that one.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely like made the wrong decision knowing what I knew. I stand by it from what my truth was in the round, but obviously not true now.
Yeah, I feel like Vinny, you would have had a better shot to make the final 2 if me and Justine were there with you and Katie.
Well, I feel like there's not a way I go home.
We're that close.
Well, the thing is, at the final 4 that we had, I had no one voting for me and no one dragging me. So, like, in theory, I should be guaranteed final 2.
Yeah. I would have never dragged you either, Vinny. I was literally 100% loyal to you and Justine. I was just like, whichever one of these 2 takes me to the final 2, it's who I'm going with.
My dude, Chris, you're my boy. You're my boy.
Absolutely, Chris. What were your? I mean, I thought you were fantastic to watch. What were your thoughts overall on playing the game? How did you get into Sequester first off, and how was playing it for the first time?
Yeah, so I started watching with the Big Brother Canada versus Big Brother US mini. I'm just a big fan of like these games. I've just been lurking. I like watch the podcast. Like I haven't subscribed or anything, so I was like, all right, one day I'm gonna play it. I want no one to know who I am. I just want to like. Yeah, I didn't want anyone to have any preconceived notions of me before I played. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself and like how to feel out people around me in a short time period. That was really fun. And I think my biggest downfall in the game was just like maybe not caring enough about the early people. Like some people in the beginning, like I didn't really care about the people that I didn't make a connection with right away. So Emilie, even when she gave me advice, I was like, honestly, I don't care. I'm getting her out. Like, so literally, I just left the room. I was like, why is she talking to me? So I was like, I left. No offense, Emilie, but that's just how like I feel like I shouldn't have done that. I should have been more.
I was
like,
being genuine, dude.
I know. Okay, I know, Emilie. But in my mind, I feel like that was one of my biggest mistakes. Not extending myself.
Also, your camera.
And like,
I had to throw the internet out at the end.
Which has been working great today, by the way. It always happens the next day. It's fine.
Fun fact about the internet thing. So I was so scared that was gonna happen. I made an appointment to upgrade my internet speed on Thursday. They called me. They say, "Oh, because I live in Clifton, New Jersey. We're in a really high priority area right now for COVID-19." So they canceled my appointment. I was like, I talked to my boyfriend, and he was like, "Honestly, just wing it. See what happens." And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna give it a shot. but I feel like I
Well, we're
manifested.
glad you did. We're glad you did. You were really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I hope that there's been a suggestion for a Stoner's private mini. If so, I would love to see you play on it.
Am I still allowed? Am I still allowed, or am I
No,
allowed?
no,
Oh,
Vinny's allowed. Absolutely not. You can come do live commentary.
As a fake stoner,
so,
I appreciate it.
yeah. So we have somebody awake to do it. But yeah, Chris, I hope. Are you going to play again soon, Chris?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I got to know all you guys. Emilie, no hard feelings at all. Everything was just game. Like, but I really like you guys. And we'll play again one day. So.
Chris, I really enjoy getting to know you, brother. I'm glad we got to do
Awesome.
this together.
Yeah, it's my first ORG, so that was really fun.
Yeah, ORG.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
coming
See
on,
you,
Chris. All right.
Ladies,
Well, now,
this is what we wanted.
My favorite people.
And Justine.
I know. I miss.
she's dancing. She's dancing somewhere.
Oh, I thought she was in the background. I got excited.
No. Justine, I think, is traveling right now. So unfortunately, we don't have her for the Final Four. This was an amazing Final Four, though, because we saw her talking. We did see her talk in the comments about being really discouraged by the comments that Spencer made, as far as she was like, when he called me a floater, I got really down on myself. I felt really defeated. And then I got to Final Four and they were working together. And so I felt really defeated. But I mean, she might have felt defeated, but she played, y'all. She played, y'all.
Yeah, she Vinny at the end. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, like I said, I didn't know she was a talker, but girl, she said some stuff. Vinny, I didn't understand your plan.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us what your plan was?
Yeah, well, so my idea at the very end was for, obviously, Emilie and Katie and I as big players to establish pretty quickly that the three of us were going to drag Justine and just not have that as a worry. And then what I thought would be that Katie, myself, would accurately assess Emilie as the biggest threat. And that when that happened, the two of us would vote Emilie. Emilie would vote either myself or Katie, and that Justine would either also vote that way or just incorrectly because she didn't know where the two were going or the one was going. So that was my immediate assessment, to take away the threat of the drag, because I didn't need it and didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, it was so weird. Okay, the way you phrased it made it sound like you were gonna do something that we just saw on BB Australia, where each person voted for the other person, leaving it in the hands of the fourth person, in this case, Justine. I think at that point, you accidentally lit a fire under Justine.
Yeah, no, for sure.
She said, "My vote matters. All right, let's do this."
Yeah, because it was a pretty. I mean, it seemed like it was completely straightforward. Like, I don't think there would have been a Final Four round if you had just said okay, right? Like, it was going 3-1 regardless, and then it was just a matter of who Justine drags. And I don't think in any case it would have been you. Probably.
No, she tweeted afterwards that she would not have dragged me, and that's where I was loving life. I had, again, 3 people who weren't dragging me, and no one voting for me.
She was going to drag Emilie. It was pretty clear that she was going to drag Emilie.
And a lot of people misinterpret how I didn't talk a lot during that time. Well, sis, Justin came for me first, and then as everyone was arguing with each other, she eventually diverted to Katie, and I'm like, this is exactly what I want. I just sat there. It doesn't necessarily mean that I didn't have much input or I wasn't strategic, but that's exactly what I wanted to happen. It's just, I don't talk a lot. I just take in the information and let it happen on its own. And that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, it went to a wheel. Well, not unfortunately, because I voted with Justine and it went to a tie, and yeah, so just a second.
My plan was to stay quiet in this round because I knew I was a very tempting target at this point. So I was like, I'll just stay quiet, let someone else throw out the first name. And, we kind of went around the rounds, and then Justine said my name. And that's when I was like, oh, fuck no, that's not going to work for me. And then I thought I was gone that round. I thought Vinny was voting for me. I thought Emilie I thought it was 3-1 on me, and I thought I was gone. So when Vinny said he was going to vote for me, my immediate response is to pop off on him.
This is so funny because if you were saying so many words and I literally didn't listen to one of them because I didn't care. I was just like, it was so funny. Like this.
Okay,
is,
so you weren't scared.
No. Like
you didn't get scared into switching your vote.
No, but because you have to remember like where I was coming from. If I needed Emilie out of this game to win, was where I was coming from. Again, we see that Katie got so much respect, rightfully deserved, and how wonderful Katie played. But once the tie was forced, I needed to find a way to get Justine to flip her vote while also getting to vote Emilie. Because I was figuring Justine was like, like it doesn't really matter what happens to me. I'm not going to win. I'm going to cause some chaos and force a wheel. So my intent going in was to get her to flip to Emilie for me to then vote Katie in her mind, where we'd both vote Emilie, was my rationale.
I say, and when I saw the tie, I was like, let's think of the viewers. How much would they love a wheel right now, y'all? Don't we want to give them a good game in hopes that somehow that would keep the tie going and me and Emilie would be safe, because that was my ideal situation. I'm like, all right, I got votes, Emilie got votes, we could be safe. Vinny and Justine can go to a wheel, and then we'll be all hunky dory. But it was scary there for a second.
Yeah.
Wow. It was especially scary when the wheel did land on you, Vinny, in your speech and how you worded it. And I was like, well, king of drama here. At least you made it even more dramatic. But I thought you were really going to drag Katie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I mean, all of us were like, there's a reason the three of us worked together for a while. We all needed each other. I think I was messaging with Katie. We all needed each other, but none of us required the other to really ever stay safe. If that makes sense. So like, what I mean by that is like all three of us had our people, and we didn't need each other to like, oh man, our names on the block. We need you a ton throughout the game, but we needed the threat level of one another in order to get to the end. And like, yeah, and it worked out like pretty well. And like in theory, I shouldn't go home, but instead of just talking to Justine, I decided to play mind games with her, which I did not work, because like obviously Kate is the easy vote, but if my perception is I'm losing to Emilie at the end, I'm gonna need, like, me voting out Katie's great, but if I think I'm gonna lose to Emilie at the end, which was what my assessment was, like I can't have that happen. So I'd be much rather go to a wheel or do other things and just go to the end with Emilie, who was my number one girl. Like, she was my girl, but can't beat that girl.
Well, and then when the wheel started going, I was sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, be Justine, be Justine, be Justine. I'm like, not Vinny. Vinny's going to drag me. I just screamed at this kid. He has every right to drag me right now. That would suck so bad. So when it landed on you, I was like, well, it's been a good run, and you faked it out, and my heart was so happy when you put me and Emilie in the final two.
It was just really classy too, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I'm not gonna.
You faked it out so good that Brent and I were fighting, because Brent was like, he'll never drag Katie, and I was like, he's totally gonna drag Katie. And so then when you faked it out, I was like, stay, and he was like, Suzi, you're an idiot. He just faked this out. He didn't drag Katie. I was like, who's in the final two?
Because literally everybody started screaming. Everybody started screaming when you had mentioned like you wanted Emilie to have the easiest path. Like the entire life, we'd started screaming and didn't even hear your result.
Oh man! During your speech, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm winning." Never mind.
That's so funny. But yeah. Oh my God. I mean, if I want to, like, we're playing a free game of Sequester. What, I'm going to be boring or like hold grudges? Because here's the thing, Katie absolutely deserved to win. She played awesome, as did Emilie. Emilie also played a winning game. I like to think I played a winning game. But the thing about it, at Final Four, I saw a lot of comments like, Katie changing Vinny's mind. And it was so funny because afterwards, I'm like, oh, wait, Katie was yelling at me the whole time. Like, none of my thoughts went to Katie other than like trying to like go, bye, Katie, see ya. Like, I wanted so bad for Justine to like, oh, he's like, he's
Is
really
anyone else slightly scared of Vinny?
No.
Like, he has like 4 different mindsets going on at once. He's like, oh yeah, I was completely emotionally detached from that, but at the same time you were actually acting it, and then you had like a third plan in your mind.
That was the only way to get Emilie gone at the point. Like, there's like, that was the only chance I had in that mind. But yeah, like Katie could have been like talking about my mom. She could have been talking about like my manhood. She couldn't talk about anything, and it was going in one ear out the other. Like I was not giving her the time of day and just trying to like egg her on, because it's also hilarious.
It worked.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna try to like. I know Katie's personality. Me saying that isn't gonna let her. She's not gonna go down lightly. I'm like curious of a Vinny, Emilie, or Vinny. Like I have no idea where the jury really stood on me in terms of like how I would have done with them, which is tough to answer after the fact. So I don't know. I really think I pretty much played myself out as bad as possible, even though I thought I was doing the only thing I could to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, also, I will remember. I remember your first game, and you were entertaining in your first game. I think your video was better this game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Which helped.
I strategically made the video this time instead of actually just trying to get on the show like I did last time.
Well, how
Yeah.
about was your first video?
I started off by saying like, I'm gonna lie, cheat, and steal whatever it takes to win the money. Wait, there's no money, and then like it was like a joke. Yeah, I was just trying to like,
Yeah, and we, like I said, humor can go either way. For Vinny, the first time it did not go well.
I was hoping that more people would talk about me being Brutus. I just wasn't, but I was hoping that'd be like a fun thing to bond people over, or like, oh, that's sick that you were Brutus, but I don't think it was brought up once.
No, it was not.
Video.
It would have been an interesting vote, Vinny versus like myself. I feel like we were all fucked against Katie, but
yeah, I think Vinny versus Emilie would have been very close. Like I'm curious as to how that would have shaken out.
me at the final vote. I think it's gonna be close. Oh.
Yeah. I'm curious just because I feel like most of the people in the jury I did work a little closer with, which is why I was like, I'd be interested in that. Like, I think Chris and Justine are two people I've worked very well and close in the game with, and I'm not sure. It'll be really interesting, but guys, I mean, not two people I'd rather lose to. You know, like I the worst case is you got to final three and the two people who just are bummers. Like neither of you guys are bummers. You guys are really, really great, fun people. So it was awesome. I mean, it was a great night. If it was for $1 million, we might be a little bit more pissed, but.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to see you play for $1 million. I gotta be honest.
I would. I have way too many notes of ideas and things I would do. Maybe fake it.
Well, I look forward to seeing you on Big Brother or Survivor. Either one, I think you would.
Or another Sequester. I'm sure that's bound to happen. I can't imagine.
Yes, you're gonna come back, right, Vinny?
I mean, here's the thing. I want to act like I'm too cool for this. I want to act like I have such a busy, cool life. But when it comes down to it on Friday night, like this is way more fun.
We'll see. Awesome.
But yeah, Vinny's on the list of people I want to play a mini with at some point. That I would be entertained by. So
it'd be fun. It'd be fun. Yeah. I also I got voted out at the reason I lost my first game also was in part to I was in the room twist. So when I survived it, I poured water over myself trying to be a ham and be an idiot, and I was damp the rest of the night, and it was just so not worth it. Just so not worth it.
And nobody noticed either. So
great.
Not worth it. I don't think a single person said anything. So
wonderful, guys. But no, Emilie, Katie, it was actually very fun to get to know you guys. I enjoyed playing with you guys. So good job, and hopefully we'll see each other down the line.
Bye, boo.
Thanks, Vinny.
See you guys.
And that brings us to the final two. What were you both thinking going in? I know, Emilie, you thought you might have a shot. Katie, did you think you had it in the bag? What was how were you both feeling?
I thought it was going to be close. I really did, just because I thought Emilie had a lot more friends on the jury, and I knew that I had stabbed a lot of people in the back, and I knew that was something I would have to own up to show my game. And that's always a risky move because people either appreciate that or they're like, no, that's not cool. Like, you pretended to be loyal to me and you weren't. And so I didn't know which way it was going to go. I knew what I wanted to say, and I knew that I could talk someone's ear off if they gave me the time. But yeah, no, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be close.
I had a lot of friends, but like it's just very apparent that obviously like your strategic moves and etc. were more highlighted. I'm unfortunately like games like Sequester, I'm more of a Big Brother like Survivor orger. So when I come into this, it's like people shit on a social game. I know it sucks. People bring it up. Well, sorry, but it is a way you get to the end. And unfortunately, in the end, you had a strategic like standpoint that I couldn't live up to, which unfortunately really sucked.
But I think the big thing is, Emilie, and a lot of people on the Twitterverse said this, that in any other mini, you are like a clear winner. And I don't think you can stress that more, because you played your ass off. And if I would have been dragged at 4, I think I would have voted for you.
Yeah, it's just, I don't, it's hard to decide. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good at this stuff there. Like, I'm just good at like playing the game while it's happening. So like, I just know like we have both had a pretty good shot. You were the stronger person. Like, I couldn't beat your game, shit girl. Like, you were just like phenomenal. Like,
thank you.
It was good.
Well, I really felt like the entire Final Four in any other mini could have like had a very.
I would expand that to the Final 5, maybe Final 6.
Yeah.
I think would have all been very strong players, and I think we even had some pre-jury players that could have gone very far in other games. But y'all were sharks, and when y'all smelled blood, it was over. It was over.
And I think
I will.
Oh, sorry.
I will say that. No, I was just gonna say. I think Emilie, it's a game where you have to be both social and strategic, and we did see you do both. I think that this is also like one of the few times we saw the final 2 questioning really seemed to matter a lot.
Yeah, it's just, I think we were like strategic. I just wasn't as aggressive, and that wasn't that as clear. I do regret not saying like how many times my name was out in the open. But oh well. You know what? It was good times, folks.
So the alliance that was formed here, like getting to the end and like protecting each other and making those moves along the way to get not like just our 3 here, but us 2 here. Like, when I came into this game, I was like, I want 2 women in the final 2. Like, I want to be that many. That's what I want to represent. And especially with the Survivor mini tonight, like, I'm hoping there's the women kicking ass tonight, and that's what I wanted to have us represent. So for me, especially once Laura left, Emilie was my priority to get to the end with her. And that the moves at 6 and 5, I couldn't be here. If Emilie would have gone earlier, I would have gone immediately after her.
Yeah, I don't know. We were lucky to get to the point we were, and then we just had majority, and we're like, fuck yeah, until you guys first voted me, but whatever. It
was you or me at that point.
Yeah, it was. But I think it's just so funny, because like at the beginning, I saw like, this just goes to show that you learn who people are through the game. But like, I saw Katie's video, I'm like, oh my god, she has to go. Like, her personality is so big. And then like, who's sister? We made it to final 2, and it was great.
So Vinny popped back into the chat to ask us who you were closer with, Emilie. Was it Katie or Vinny?
Probably closer to Vinny. Yeah, probably.
Are you happy now, Vinny?
Yeah, I was probably closer to Vinny. I did acknowledge that.
You just asked that question to her.
I was praying, like, Katie, I was like, loved you, but I was praying to God, Justine, once she said your name at like the drag girl, like, if you left, I was like low keys, not saying anything, but I was like, but I was happy that Justine and Vinny were in the wheel, because the outcome
worked out great.
It would have, but regardless, like, it would have ended up great for me, because at that point, Justine said your name, so I was just like, it could have turned out.
Yeah, at 4, it's everyone for themselves. Like, there's never any hard feelings at 4. Like, even when I, popped off at Vinny, it's hard to say what I would have done, but I don't think I would have dragged him, because I do care for this game, and it would have been fun to see the 2 of you. But it's hard to say that now. But yeah, it's just final 4. It's to each their own. Yeah. And I would have.
I think we have to acknowledge this comment from Justine. she came back just to tell Vinny that she knew he was never going to flip on Katie, and he thought she just wanted him to be honest. I think that is exactly what happened. I feel like Justine was underestimated like wild. We saw her play really hard when her name came up against Spencer, and she was like, you can't vote for me because I'm not going to drag Spencer. I'm going to drag somebody else. And she got her name out of people's mouths. And then here she did play the hell out of this round. So, I mean, underestimate Justine at your own risk, as Vinny found out. So, Justine was the sole vote for Emilie to win, I think, is what somebody in the chat asked. So everybody wanted to know. So I think the vote was Justine for you.
That's what I thought.
Thanks.
Yeah. So Tom, we have people who want Vinny and Justine to come and hash it out. I think we all need to probably rest up for at least 20 minutes, have a power snack before Survivor tonight.
Oh,
right.
Yes. It's gonna be interesting.
But do we have any last thoughts on the game or on this final two that was iconic?
Probably just be more self-aware and bring up more things and justify myself more in the end, if anything. Be more aggressive, but not too aggressive, because if I do that again the next time, people are gonna know. I know I can't play for a while because God forbid me, Katie, and Vinny are in a game again together. So yeah.
Winners at war.
Yeah.
Winners at war.
Oh my God.
I feel like you'll be on the short list now, Emilie, for coming back for one of the big minis. I can't imagine that you won't be asked back to do something at some point. So.
Well, I didn't have a camera for so long, and then I started streaming games, and so I was like, "Oh fuck it, why not? Let's do it. $3 next thing."
I was gonna ask you that. For being a fan for so long that you hadn't actually played yet, I would have thought you would have been.
I'm a procrastinator. I forget questions. I forget to do things. So.
Well, it turned out you played it on the right night.
Yeah.
She said maybe not.
Oh, Vinny said he voted for me.
Oh, so I wonder if I got it wrong. I wonder if I got it wrong about Justine then. Huh.
Interesting.
We'll have to find out.
Now we know. And Katie?
Yeah,
what were I mean, you've been, touted by everyone possible in the Sequester community now. How was it?
Unanimous.
It was so much fun. Honestly, I knew I played a good game, but I was shocked when I saw the overwhelming amount of love rolling in. So like that made me feel really warm and fuzzy. I had so much fun playing. I became a patron last week. After all the fun minis last weekend, I was like, yeah, why not? Might as well join. And yeah, I didn't know if I was going to get picked. I didn't know how I was going to play. I was so nervous. I knew I was a big personality and that I didn't think I was going to make it here, let alone win. But I knew I had one chance to play my villainy game before everyone knows how I play this game. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just honored to represent this season and have us two in the final two representing, two strong, wonderful women who played really hard, and it was just so much fun. And if you aren't a patron, you need to sign up now because it's so much fun to play.
Yeah. Was I the only Canadian?
ASAP.
Was
maybe?
I think so. I don't recall any others. I think you may have been.
Because I know I got a little bit of controversy, because of the sign you had, and
because that's reasonable that you didn't know who Breonna Taylor was. You're not
people to know
from America.
I'm Canadian, so I do apologize. So that's all I wanted to say as well.
I didn't know you were Canadian, but again, I didn't also have any access to videos.
No, I just wanted to let people know that before,
Yeah. No, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
But I do hope that everybody has a chance to look up what did happen to Breonna Taylor, sign some petitions.
Yeah, if anything, it's more
and do what you can.
It's more awareness, brings more awareness to it. So
absolutely. I think that we probably need to close out now. But
yeah, we gotta get going here in about 45 minutes. But yeah, I said it last night. I think it was a great night to have such amazing gameplay, and the fact that the survivors I mean, I'm sure at least a handful of them were watching, and they got, you know, pretty much a masterclass on how to play this game. So I'm hoping that they go in tonight knowing what they're doing, and they play just like you both did, and they have it, you know, they're wanting to win. And judging from what I've heard, they're going to be going hard. So we shall see. If you're following Twitter or following what Audrey said, they're not messing around. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and make sure everyone. Well, yeah, we've got to make sure everyone listens to Sharifa will be on Terrence's Twitch tonight to break down the game with Aman, and I'm sure a ton of other amazing guests. And then tomorrow night, Louie and Sharifa will be sitting here with some of the survivors to talk about how they played.
I won't give any spoilers yet as to who will be there, but we have some really good names lined up, so it'll be a lot. I'm a little nervous, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Adam.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. You were great.
Bye-bye. All right, Susie, are you ready? What are you gonna do? It's a very rare Sequester night off for me. I don't honestly know what I'm going to do because I'm so used to talking through all of these. I'm just going to be talking to Corky, I guess.
Well, I'll probably be in the Twitch commentaries a little bit, and I'll probably also eat a meal. I haven't eaten yet today.
Eating is important. Yeah, I should probably order food.
I'm such a dick because I'm in my Twitter telling people that they should be hydrating and sleeping, and I haven't had a single thing to eat today.
Well, let's both go eat then. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Do we want to put up our banners real fast?
Yes, let's do the banners. We got
can
our,
either
our
follow
sticker up.
or block us, giving whichever your preference is.
Rank and rate. Absolutely, everybody who's still here, follow, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up here for sure.
Yeah. And then this is me, and you can follow me. And yeah, I'm not going to do the poetry thing today because I'm too tired. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will save that for another day. Susie, enjoy tonight. Enjoy the Survivor Mini. I'm sure I'll be texting you about it. And everybody, thank you for watching. This has been a lot of fun, and we will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yeah. Can't wait to see y'all.
Bye, y'all.